Oh, yes, it's time for Type 40 Live, your live streamed Doctor Who show, materialising again here on the Spacebook channel. Whatever time zone or time stream you're joining us from, whether you've had a heat wave or not, I think most of us have. Yeah, I'd say 90% of us have. Whether you've had a heat wave or not, have you wilted? Are you still sweating? Have you recovered? Let us know. Welcome. It's good to be back. Yes, this is Type 40 Live, hitting your screen in real time for content and conversation in front of a live chat full of friends, fans and companions just like you. And now we're in podcast form too. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks. And yes, still together. I'm not a sweaty mess, although I was a couple of days ago. But we've managed to scramble together a Type 40 Live for you this week. After all, against all odds. We're going on a break next week, for the next couple of weeks. So we thought we'd get back here for a big summer sizzler, cover all the bases, everything that people are talking about out there in the Whoniverse as we get excited for what's to come in the 60th anniversary. Yeah, there's a couple of things to get out of the way before that, but we won't talk too much about that. We've got a lot to get into on this show and a lot of faces to speak to as well. But we are very, very grateful for everybody who's turned up here in the live chat on Facebook and YouTube. We're broadcasting live, as always, to both YouTube, the world's largest streaming platform, and to our community over in the Type 40 Facebook group on Facebook there. Hello, everybody. Don't forget, hit that little blue link if you are watching on Facebook, because that's the only way we'll be able to see your name on the live chat comments if you want to join in. So you tell Facebook, Facebook tells StreamYard, StreamYard tells us, and we all get on first name terms. It's going to be a sort of a barbecue atmosphere. We're all having a bit of a cookout here. Even though the weather's turned slightly, I think it's still, the temperatures are up, and so are danders about all things Doctor Who. And joining me first, he's been fanning himself up in the Doctor Who loft, but he has made it after all. It's Mr. JT.
Hello and welcome to your super sizzling soar away Type 40 Live.
It's got that sort of tabloidy edge, hasn't it? We're going to get into more of that as we sort of have a flashback in a little while. But how are you faring, mate?
I'm really good. It's wonderful weather. No complaints at all. Just very, very worried about my dahlias.
And on the yes, you're King Gardener, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering, everybody. I was wondering. Let's bring in Queen Charlotte. I don't know where she's calling in from. You're indoors, aren't you? In the out of the elements, I should say.
Oh yes, yeah. I'm in basically my dining room. That's
there
where I do.
Oh, how very grand and ladylike.
I know. I was just thinking that.
I am a queen, so it makes sense.
Well, so am I, but I'm not in my dining room. What are you talking about?
She eats after 8 any time of day. You just don't care, do you?
Tramp.
Do
you have somebody to get them out of the little envelopes for you and then sort of pop them nearby? Is that how it works?
A little bell, a little bell.
It's mega geeky. He likes unwrapping and wrapping things, doesn't he?
Well, so we hear, but I understand the restraining order is still in place. Is that true, Ian? Good to see you, Mega Geek. How
yeah, it's good to see you too, JT. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's lovely to see you and your Canetto.
And we're all over the moon to see back on Type 40 Live after a little bit of a break. He's been up to all sorts, I suppose. He'll tell us if we ask him nicely.
Licorice all sorts.
Hello. I'm alive. I know.
He lives. Great to see you, mate. What have you been up to? And can you talk about it?
I can't talk about many things, but I have been working on a few sort of films, and I've just come back from a wedding as well, not my own, a friend of mine's in wedding, so it was a wonderful, wonderful time, just so lovely together. I'm usually quite a cynical person, but my God, they're just so wonderful together. So brought a manly tear to my eye, obviously.
Did it make you sick, Barnaby? I hate it when good-looking people get together, don't you?
Oh God, I don't know how we'll fix that. Actually, this could make you sick too.
That
this is our console of the week. It's got that sort of warmth, but it's sort of warmth. It's burning up the crystals there of the console room. We're pleased to say this no longer exists. This set is no longer a thing.
No, we torched it, didn't we, last year?
You can catch the heat. You can catch the heat off it a little. Okay, who's next? Talking about heat. I don't know what time of year it is actually for him in Tasmania. It's Mighty Matt. Mighty Matt Pot. He's back on the show too. I think it's It's freezing bloody cold, is it, mate?
I'm in winter here. I'm in the middle of winter. Do you want a bit? I'll just
No,
send up
please.
some over.
Yes, please.
No, we don't. We want it to
waft
keep
is
it
our
like
way.
this.
Oh no, you must nuts. No, we don't.
Great
We
to
don't
have you
miss it.
back.
Believe us.
So what
great
have you been up?
feedback.
What have you been up to?
I've been up to lots. I've just had internal heating put into the house, and that's been a trial. I've got an entirely new background now.
I don't know what he
because
means
I
either,
had to
JT.
take
Just nod.
everything away.
I'm just nodding.
Oh, you've been relocated.
Yes,
To
yes,
Serbia.
I have.
Speaking of which, I think she's still roving around. We've got Shah from Geek Rambles again from an undisclosed location. I wonder if is there an off license nearby. Let's just...
Super secret. And off like, why do I always get the drunken thing?
Because
I
you're a
had
drunken
one-
lush.
One glass of wine once.
I did it
With
on
a
purpose
bottle,
that time.
and two bottles to the side of you that we saw when we came off air. I mean, unbelievable. And there was straws in them, space bookers. She wasn't even bothering with the glass when she wasn't being played.
It's good to see you. Have you not had an as eventful a week as you had the previous week?
No, I've been very good this week. Very good. Yeah, I've been fine. I've not seen any stray Ians around. I've not been going out doing anything. It's been too hot to do anything, but I'm loving it. I'm not complaining. It's been great.
Yeah,
Says as she furiously fans herself and
Oh,
completing.
I'm not complaining, but it's so hot.
Yes, we've got a full house this time. Almost everybody from the Type 40 stable is on and completing the lineup for tonight. It's the one, the only, the sparkling starry-eyed girl, Sarah Graham.
Hello, everybody.
That's great to see you. Good to have you back. How are things with you? What have you been up to?
Melting. But yeah, no, it's been good. You know, we've had the pool out for the boys. The boys have really loved it. It's been a little bit too warm for my liking, but it's a little bit cooler today. So yeah, I've got a tan. I'm getting a tan. That never.
I think we're all getting a tan. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like we're all having skin cancer in the next 2 years, but it's looking good right now.
I'm glad you're all getting a tan. I'm far too ginger to get a tan. So
I was born with a tan, so there you go.
Wow.
It's delightful to have you all back on the show. We've got so much to get into. So, and yeah, it has been one hell of a week. Doctor Who classics of the past, from the classic and the new era, have sprung to mind.
Why are you showing that picture then?
All those hot moments. We'll get into some of those.
That was Monday.
Some of your favourite memories of Doctor Who times past. We're going to get into those in a moment. I think it's time that we say hello to the people watching in the live chat, don't you?
Hello to the people watching in the live chat.
Who have people who have graced us with their presence from the get-go, like Daniel Leach. He's watching here on YouTube. Good to see you, Daniel, mate.
Hello.
And the Primord infectant there, Matt.
Oh, I'm using that in the toilet right now.
Industrial
Smells like
strength.
pine.
Yeah. It's who else is here? Crimpline de Bloom with an ahoy shipmates. Keep nautical. Always keep it naughty and nautical if you can. Rebecca Gold's here, a friend of yours there, Ian, I think.
Yeah.
Archer Collin always reminds me of one of those, an extra from Robin of Sherwood there, JT. Obviously, that's who that could be.
He's got quite a breeze underneath.
First time in a while I've been able to catch Type 40 live, says the classic 80s fanboy. That's Carl there. So
Right, where's he been? Where's he been? Let us know what you've been
He has
doing.
things to
We
do.
need
He
your
probably has a bit of a life on a Thursday. Who knows? Who'd have thought it?
Have a life.
Well, Charlie's Angels is off, so we can't have really.
And he adds that this is what the Doctor Who fan family should be all about. Everyone's spreading the love. I
Oh,
think that
give over.
That's Barnaby and his wedding he was talking about. Hello all, says Carol Jude Barnaby, and advises please drink some water right now.
Carol, I feel like I'm back at work by you saying that.
I know. Yeah, that's all I've had.
Barnaby Barnaby may look like he's calling us from Ian Fleming's place, Goldeneye in Jamaica, there with the giraffe. But apparently he's not. He's still in London. Scrolling through our chat, and yeah, people talking about Elvis Presley. Good stuff. Vanessa Law's here. Hi guys, my bloody computer is fixing a drive, so I'm stuck on the phone for now. Well, I'm glad you persevered with the tech there, Vanessa, because it wouldn't have been the same without you. Richard Brooks, he's here too. Good evening, folks, says Richard. Yes, scrolling down to see who's here. Good evening, you lovely lots. Yes, that's you. We know you anywhere. Darren M's here too. And and so is the Darren Zone.
I'm just going to say hello to my friend Gary, who's watching us for the first time. You're going to regret this, kid.
Oh, hello to my mum, who's also watching for the first time. You're going to regret it, Julie.
Gary, that's the first timer's disclaimer we always give. And I understand that some of us have got family members maybe watching too sharp.
Hi, Mommy.
Hi, Mum. And it's the first time I can say, hi, Mum.
hello, Mum. It's like they used to do at Tiswas, isn't it? Yeah, it's still pre-watershed, so we'll keep it down for now.
Don't do that just for my mum, please.
Depends when you're watching. It might be 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said before, we're in competition with Eamon Holmes right now. Hi, Eamon.
Now, Raymond Williams here. This is a good one, JT. You're going to like this. It says, I survived 8 weeks of hot weather in 1976. Right. So 2 days in 2022 was a breeze. And it's funny that Raymond should mention that because, of course, all this hot weather, I've had my first ice cream in literally years this week. A lovely big Mr. Whippy with raspberry sauce. Yeah, it was beautiful, just like the ones I remember from when I was a kid. But I wondered, if you had to pick from these treats, which one would you gravitate towards, JT?
It would have to be the Daleks Death Ray, because I remember the mint and the chocolate clashing together, and of course it had a Dalek on the front. And I went to actually try and find the wrapper I used to have for it, and it's lost. I don't know where it is. But of course, for me, it's 5 pence for that Daleks Death Ray. What about you, Starry Eyed? What would you have?
Well, I was going to go for the Dalek as well, but then I saw the Superstar, and I'm like, well, it's Starry.
Oh, where's that? Where's that?
Top right.
Top right.
Oh,
so, yeah.
That looks like it's got a coating like a Fab has now, so they're like hundreds and thousands.
Yeah, and wasn't it orange? Wasn't it
I love chocolate orange.
Ian,
that
can you
funny
remember?
face looks scary. Just put it out there.
Oh, me, I would.
Faces always melted quickly, didn't they, Ian?
Yeah, I always went for the Dracula when I was a kid. That was really thanks, JT. That was really nice. Actually, had that nice little red, thing in the middle. It was really nice.
What were they inside? Was it strawberry?
Yes, it was strawberry. Yeah. It was nice. It was nice. I remember, and some funny face. To me, I couldn't eat it because it just looked rubbish, didn't it? Look at it.
Like you said though, JT, they would melt within like 20 seconds or something like that. You'd end up with
because
it all
it was
over.
ice cream, and you had to go.
They didn't seem to hang together at all. Those. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to love the mini milks. There used to be a little shop around the corner. I would have a mini milk. I think they were very, very cheap, and they were gone in next to no time. They were a little bit bland, but I remember. I'm not old enough to remember most of these, but I would imagine the Dalek tray came in sort of waxy paper or something like that. I mean, they look mouth-watering, don't they, Shah?
Oh yeah, I'm just looking at them all, just like, if I could have those love heart eyes you get on an emoji, I think that I'd have them for all of them. But I was a mini milk girl as well, so yeah, absolutely love it.
Because they still do those now. I'm not sure. I think some of the other ones still exist, but under different names. Barnaby, do you? Space
the only one I recognise is the mini milk. I used to love those when I was a kid. Wasn't the Sky Ray? Didn't they recolour the Sky Ray or something like that?
Rocket now.
They used them for all the Terry Anderson stuff, didn't they?
Yeah.
They're those Sky Rays. They all renamed them to do with their shows.
It's very clever because they basically designed some of them as rockets and stuff. So as a kid, when you got the lolly, you're like, you could play with it, but then it starts melting, so you have to eat it.
And then, of course, the tradition was to say one of the new riddles or the jokes on the stick, on the lolly stick.
What is that one in the top right-hand corner? A chili choc. It could be chili as in chili.
I'd like to see what the red whopper looked like. that one underneath.
But you're quite right about the Sky Ray. That had been around for years, and I think it's now evolved into something else. But that had a bit of a link to Doctor Who, didn't it? Because there was a big promotion with Patrick Troughton's Doctor in that. I mean, I think this came out slightly before he made his way to the screen because he got that kind of Lovejoy look. He got a bit of a mullet on the go.
Yeah. He invented the mullet.
It looks like it, Barnaby. It looks like it, and you could collect like little picture cards and things like that would tie into that. And there's an advert that I think we've all seen the advert. We've certainly used it on the ad break before. But so when you look at these sort of standards from times past, a red arrow that looks like a strawberry split.
Yeah, it does. I was trying to think of what it was called, and I couldn't remember for the life of me. But yeah, those are so good as well.
The cornet thing. The cornet thing. You never see the square ice cream these days, do you?
Not anymore.
Sorry, Matt. No. Sorry.
No, you're right. It's just that Australia had so much better ice creams.
Go on, then.
Sorry, we did. We had Eskimo pies. We had everything. It was fantastic.
You don't even have cows in Australia. You can't make milk.
Hey, we have the best cows in the world. Just
yes,
to let you know.
You all come from Scotland. We know that. Yeah.
Did you have any Doctor Who themed ice creams?
No.
No. That's a shock. No, a very definite no.
No, we don't. We don't have fun things like that.
I love this. A spine-chilling chocolate flavour.
Most terrifying of flavours.
We used to have a thing called we used to have like a Flintstones drink, and it was a frozen drink.
Okay.
And it was in the shape of Fred Flintstone. It was. I used to love it.
I want to know what's the answer to that? Why did the
boss stop? I don't know.
I have no idea.
The drivers went on strike.
I forgot they used to put jokes and things on the sticks like that, didn't
Why
they?
does glowworms glow?
Yeah, or maybe they were fantastic facts rather than jokes back then. Maybe because there was an educational thing going on, wasn't it? It could be.
It was a mix. We used to get a lot of jokes because you get the joke on one end and then the answer on the other as you ate the ice lolly, wouldn't you? Remember? And you did get the odd bit of facts, but it was mainly jokes for us. But of course, nowadays you're not allowed to tell jokes, so you wouldn't get that now.
We used to get edible. We used to have edible sticks. So there you go.
Oh, really?
Yep. They're made out of bubble gum.
I'd try to go for you for that then.
Oh, you found the level, everybody. You found the level. Yes, if you're enjoying it so far, and why wouldn't you be? We've probably, unless you've run out to the ice cream man. If he's outside, you've heard that little tune there. You've gone out to grab one, come back in, and like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss whatever we're up to next, whether it's another live stream or a podcast.
Mom, the ice cream man's here!
Oh no, I hated that. Yeah,
to throw the 50p down, 50p to throw 50p down, just to catch him once the ice cream man.
Remember, sometimes as a treat, you get a chocolate ice. You know what were those called? They look like a little square thing, choc ice thing.
Love those. Yes, if you're wondering, is this our usual kind of fare? Well, no, not really, but yes, sort of. This is where the longest running science fiction and fantasy series in the world, Doctor Who, meets good old fashioned common sense and lots of particularly British nonsense like those ice creams. We're going to have some discussions as the show moves along. We're going to have some fan art later on, as always. There's the Type 40 ad break too for more nostalgia. I should say we can't get enough nostalgia here on this show, and lots of banter too, together and with everybody watching along on YouTube and Facebook. Let us know. Yeah, please like the video and leave us a comment too if you're watching us another time. If you've gone back, you might be watching us all over again because you can't believe the things that we've said. I certainly can't believe the things that I say. So leave us some more comments. We do love all the interaction there. And thank you to everybody who's subscribed recently. I noticed we're going up and up and up and up. So every little subscriber does help. Welcome to the family. Welcome.
Yes, bring your friends.
And speaking of fan art, I think we couldn't leave the ice creams alone before. We had to look at this. This is from Andrew Mark Thompson. These didn't actually exist, but this is some fan art from Andrew of some fantasy 80s lollies there. There's an Adric.
You're sucking that Nissa. Oh my
Stop
goodness.
it.
Yeah, moving on. Sorry,
Here we go.
Sucking on Adric. Oh dear.
I know plenty of people who did, Barnaby.
I had coffee in my mouth, JT. How dare you?
It was only coffee because that's a completely different show. Would never get away with it. Matthew,
it says here, so the skateboarding figure, if you want to see this, people who listen to the podcast, if you want to see this, it's on Andrew Mark Thompson's Twitter feed and his Instagram and all that kind of thing. He's a well-known fan artist, does a lot of this sort of spoof artwork, and the skateboarding figure says, I'm actually a young Doctor Who fan who loves the Cybermen and has a confusing teenage crush on Matthew Waterhouse. So there's another vote for Adric there. So these great new Doctor Who ice lollies from Walls are right up my street, especially the Adric one. He looks a little bit like Robin Asquith there from the Confessions of a Window Cleaner movies, the skateboarder. So he's a bit old to be on a skateboard. I think he looks about 40. But apart from that, great job, Andrew. Yeah, love all that stuff. Keep it coming, please. Oh, yeah, great, sticking with the summer theme and some nostalgia, everybody. If we stirred your memories yet, people who are watching in the live chat, the legend of the traveling TARDIS says, come to Florida. An abundance of ice cream, maybe. Who knows?
Big white gloves and alligators that'll eat you. What would you want to go there for?
Got a point. Hi to Wendy from the Department of Wendology. She's watching too, watching very closely, no doubt, with a pen and paper at hand, minded to see what we're up to, and see if lots of people here chatting amongst themselves. Have they nipped out to get an ice cream from the van? I think they could be. I think they could have done. And yes. Our chat has jumped, but we have this comment here from David Hammond who says, mini milks, you could eat about 10 and still want more. Yeah, they were small. Weren't they?
Very light as well.
The Toffingham looked good. I tried a fab for the first time the other day, and they were fab.
Yeah,
I'm a fan. They were bigger. I'm a fan.
That's
of
what I
fab.
said to you, Jerry Anderson.
They were bigger. They were much bigger in when I was growing up. Maybe it's because I was small. I don't know, but
everything was bigger when we were growing up. I mean, Kit Kats. A finger of foot in those days.
Going to need a minute. Sorry, Shah's mum. Go on, carry on, JT.
No, I was just saying.
You fit it all in your mouth.
Back in the day, a finger of foot was not this big.
They are tiny. They are absolutely tiny. We had somebody in the chat just came in with what the Dalek death rays actually tasted of. Some with a great memory, and then the chat jumped on me, so I have to apologise.
Yeah, it was chocolate. It's chocolate and mint. The mint was a sort of thicker ice cream, I think. It was quite minty, though. I remember that. Yeah,
mint chocolate is the one, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry, you don't get a mint chocolate. Something is wrong. Very, very
wrong. Do you guys have paddle pops there?
No.
What's that, mate?
No.
It is just an ice cream. It's the lion. There's a lion mascot. Very nice.
Jamie Knight says my diabetes is loving all this, and but Richard Brooks is there. He's saying why hasn't Ian got a cornetto? We have got somebody. Yeah, Vanessa's asking, is Simon not back? Simon's still on his holidays. He's sunning himself and having a fantastic time. Obviously, we miss Simon a lot, but
with a nice dream.
He will be back as soon as he's able. And no doubt quite bronzed, I would say. Yeah, no doubt quite bronzed.
We're all going to be quite bronzed for this. You don't need to go anywhere in Britain right now, do you?
Yes.
And to answer your question, Ian actually does have a cornetto now. You just can't see it.
Exactly. It's right there.
I've got a message in the chat. I've got a message in the chat from a Simon Lightfoot. Simon, if you get in touch with us, type 40 at type 40 on Twitter or Instagram at type 40 or message the Facebook page. Get back to me with all of that. I can't answer you for the time being, but obviously that is quite a serious subject, and we'll see. Just get in touch with us through our social media, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at type 40 Doctor Who. Daniel Leach has lost it already. Early doors, he's out. He's gone.
And I was going to say, and we've not even got to the wellies yet, people.
We have. We like to keep them waiting. Keep them waiting for the good stuff. More summer memories here. Take a look at these again. Now, I do remember the one on the right. What are these, JT, and where could we find them?
Okay, these are Doctor Who amusement arcade rides that were a staple at Blackpool for years. I remember these in the 70s. I actually remember being in that very police box there as a wee man, and also trying to get into the Dalek. But they were there up until, believe it or not, 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, they've been there for years. Blackpool, for anybody who doesn't know, it has an association with Doctor Who that goes back years, and it still does to this day, in a sense, because of course it was the home of the original Doctor Who Blackpool exhibition, and everywhere in Blackpool, as you can see here from these gorgeous pictures, cashed in on that, because in the old days, when we didn't go abroad, people would gravitate on seaside towns like Blackpool. Everybody went there for holidays. Most people went there for holidays, rather.
I only know it. I only know it as the place that Colin Baker could never get to.
I see it from the end of the season, yeah.
I certainly remember the Dalek ones. I remember them. I think I do remember them actually, JT, from my trip to Blackpool, or one of my many trips to Blackpool. And I think that they were some Daleks. I think were at different locations across the UK, but maybe they used to move them around. I don't know how
you could hide them in. You could hide them in. I mean, I saw them in Blackpool, New Brighton. Somewhere in Wales, I can't remember. They were also in places like Scarborough, anywhere that was a seaside town, or where we used to get the old seaside shows in the summer with Doddy and whoever else was there. Yeah. Wherever they had those, there was usually a Dalek or a TARDIS. But in Blackpool, you had the both, and those pictures were both taken in Blackpool.
I'm happy to say that although the Doctor Who exhibition in Blackpool, that's a thing of the past. Both incarnations are things of the past, but the link to Blackpool, it does remain. And we've got this picture. This is from Darren Bloxham. The Daleks and the TARDIS have materialised along the seafront at Blackpool this very week. It's just nice to see them reappear. Yeah. I gather the lights, Sarah, they get switched on. Yeah, the Blackpool illuminations get switched on Friday the 2nd of September 2022, but they start installing them now. It must take them weeks, hadn't it?
Well, they've moved, because I remember seeing that they're usually further down the promenade, so they've actually moved, because I was talking to a few Doctor Who fans today who watched them being moved, and I saw them come down, and I was like, don't take them away. No, they've just moved them, so yeah,
they not only moved them, of course, to further down. They're actually towards the end now of the whole parade when you go up there, which is sad in a sense. But they've also scaled it down. So I think they're only personally there because they must have cost a fortune to build and make, and then to light up, of course, because they do all light up in the evenings.
Would they be something like that? Would maybe be fiberglass?
Absolutely, yeah. So they can get the lighting in them, and the ice stalks move and the domes move around. But of course, back in the 80s, we had huge, big dioramas which starred both a model of Tom and then Peter and then Colin in a console room set with K9 trundling around. The Daleks were there, the Saigons were there, all these wonderful big dioramas. So, even when the show came back and it was popular from 2006 onwards, it never really hit that level, apart from the parade, which was all about David Tennant for a little while.
I understand that David Tennant switched on the lights. Have you ever made that pilgrimage, Charlotte, to the promenade and seen these?
I've been to Blackpool a few times, but I've not managed to go to the actual promenade bit, which is a shame, because I love the theme park. I love going to Blackpool. And I think I do have to one day manage to do it. It's just something I haven't got round to yet.
Maybe when you get a teeny weeny bit older and you can go out on a weekend.
Thank you, JT. I'll take that. It means I'm younger than I actually am. Yes. I'll take
it. You'll go where we all get. You'll go to the beer cellar, and then that's when you walk up after a few drinks.
They look sort of outsized there. They do look very large for Daleks, but I suppose they've got to be seen from the road and all that kind of thing.
They do. I do like them though. I'd have one if they were selling it. I really would. Yeah.
Absolutely. In your flat. They're massive.
Everybody wants a donut.
I've got a big flat. You only see a small portion.
No, I'm talking like this. They're massive.
Speaking about the Blackpool from the past, we're going to look at something from the present now, because we've got this. I don't know how you describe this, whether you'd call it a diorama or simply a model. But we've got a video here, a little slideshow. I'm in awe, Barnaby. I don't know about you. I don't know how. Did you whittle that giraffe behind you with your very hands? Are you very crafty?
All about the giraffe today, is it? It's always there. It's always been there.
I know. I'm fascinated by it. But are you very crafty? Can you build stuff and things like that? Or are you in awe like I am?
No, I'm a big model maker. I've always loved. I'm a big Warhammer fan, and I love making Spitfires and Hurricanes. And
really?
Stuff. But no, this was my grandfather's. He was working in Ghana for a long time, and this is his. I love it, so it's in my house.
Family history, beautiful. You may just love this. In fact, I think all of us and all of you are going to be are just going to love what's in these pictures here. This is from Grant Holsworth. This is absolutely incredible. Now, this is the street from the original Blackpool exhibition that's been recreated by Grant Holsworth here. I'm going to look at it from all angles. And
is that Peter Capaldi with a broom?
Yeah.
It is indeed. So I'm not sure how. I don't know where somebody would start in making something like this, Matt.
It's really good.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very good. I have no idea of what it's about, but I mean, I love those fonts.
So
I love those signage fonts.
That is the signage. That's a perfect recreation of
you
the
have to go through
1982 version of the exhibition there, just off the seafront at Blackpool. It opened in around 1975, didn't it, JT? And it remained there for a good 10, 11 years. Now, there's been several ebooks published about its history recently, but the people who, as we've seen through those books, the people who cherish those memories of going there back in the day, I think they're a little bit sort of haunted by it and they want to reach out and touch it. And what Grant's been able to do here, drawing on these skills that he's got, this fantastic skill set of model making and utilizing character options figures here too, and various other things. He's been able to bring it all back to life. Lots of attention to detail. It's absolutely jaw-dropping, isn't it, Sarah?
Oh yeah, it's just gorgeous. It really is. The time and the effort.
You
and
could
the
actually go
love.
into the TARDIS, couldn't you?
Is
That's
that
right.
what you went into
That
the
was how you
TARDIS
got
that was
in.
attached
Oh,
to the?
wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
You'd go into the entrance and you'd go down some steps because it was just off the street, and there's the actual picture there. So it's a next to perfect recreation that I can see. So you go down these steps into a basement area, and the basement would occupy the underneath a period building, which is still there today. Sadly, the Doctor Who exhibition has long since gone, nearly over 30 years ago, replaced by a shoe shop. But the building is still there, and the entrance is still noticeably in the same place. And the stairs, I understand, because I haven't been back, the stairs are almost exactly the same too. Yep. But it sort of stands as a bit of a monument, I think, JT, doesn't it, to all our summers past. I remember going there a couple of summers when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, when I saw those pictures as well, I mean, it brings back so many memories. I mean, I have lots of pictures of the Blackpool exhibition, and seeing these pictures here and then seeing what Grant's done with that beautiful, gorgeous model, which is, he's taken so much time. I mean, there was one picture we showed there where you can even see the lights. Now, I'd forgotten that when you walked past the exhibition in the evening after it had closed, there were spotlights on the logo on the frame there, which reflected on the floor, and he's put those into his model, and I was like, oh my god, I remember those.
Oh, wow.
It brings back so much happy memories. If you were a Doctor Who fan in the 70s and 80s, Blackpool was the place to go, because every year they would show the costumes and props from that year's series, as well as some of the older ones. And it's thanks to the Blackpool exhibition, and to an extent the sister one in Longleat, that we still had a lot of the props and the costumes way after the original series finished, because they were all used. And I mean, it just brings so many memories there, and also of members of family that are long gone that went there with me as well. Wonderful days.
Yeah, it's I think lots of people have exactly the same kind of memories, remixes of the same sensations. It wasn't just the sights, it was the sounds as well, because they would play special music, specially put together sound effects, and the smells as well. All that, there was lots of dry ice from what I vaguely remember of all of this thing. Ian, did you ever go?
No, I never went.
But you want to now, don't you? You want to get in the car.
I want to clean up that. I want to clean up that street. I want to clean up that street. That's
help Peter.
Yes, Peter
Was it
Capaldi figure there.
interactive?
No,
Interact with things, or?
not really, because we didn't have interactive technology back in those days. What happened is you went, as Dan said, you went downstairs into the basement, and it was so atmospheric because of the sound effects and the smells, and the lighting was superb. Doctor Who exhibitions were ahead of their time. And you could press the odd button and stuff on various consoles that were around the main console in the TARDIS console room, but they didn't do much. You know, if you were lucky, you thought you were making K9 move, for example, but nothing really did that. You know, it was special to be there because you were seeing all these wonderful exhibits, and you got to see the TARDIS control console. You know, and oh man, I can't tell you.
Special times, opened by John Pertwee and Elizabeth Sladen, wasn't it? So memorably in front of a wild crowd. Yeah. And it would continue to be that way virtually. So I'd say certainly up until the early 80s that it was a big draw, and Blackpool was still a kind of mecca. Oh, yeah. Really. I haven't been back for a long time. How about you, Shah? Have you ever been over to Blackpool?
Oh, I've been waiting for this question. I have never been to Blackpool because my mum has been promising me that she would take me to Blackpool rather, from the age of 4, Julie. So thank you for that. Wow, never had. So yeah, I'm 27 now.
No pressure now. No.
Should we give you the close up, and you want to give her the doe eyes now?
Yeah.
Sympathy. Yeah, there we are, Mum.
Age of 4. Unbelievable. She's unbelievable.
Pour your finger out, Mrs. Rambles.
I would love to. It looks like it's a lot of I don't want to say the word campness, but I'm sure it would be, and just a load of fun, and I've heard great things about it. But
the only one I went to was the one at the BFI.
That was years later, and it was nothing like it. That was more of a museum, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
The original Blackpool exhibition was it was all about not just displaying what the BBC had in stock, but it was about fun as well. You know, oh man, yeah.
I only ever went to the Longleat one, and that was completely by accident. I'd only just started getting into Doctor Who. I think I was around about. It was a bit later on, but I think I was about 11 or something, and we went to the safari park, and then just my mate told me, there's a Doctor 2 exhibition here, and I didn't believe it. Going like, no, there isn't, and they showed me. It was absolutely amazing. I wish it was still there. My eyes were just so huge. Like, oh my god, it's like my.
Well, to let you know, Barnaby, the one in Blackpool was 2 or 3 sizes bigger than Longleat.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah,
I can sympathise because it does, particularly with the Longleat. I mean, Blackpool was this big tourist draw, and this is nothing against the Doctor Who exhibition, but it always had this reputation as being quite brash, OTT, a little tacky, but very much attractions. It was, your eye when you went down Blackpool, down the Golden Mile they call it. You hit with all these lights, all these sensations, all these sights. It was low level spectacular. Whereas Longleat, it's a very beautiful, stately home, isn't it? It's the last thing you expect to find is.
Well, that's the place I would expect Barnaby to be. Do you know what I mean? That place there.
Of course.
Coming out of his chauffeur.
I live there, Ian. Didn't you know that?
Lots of happy memories as well. People sharing about trips to both Longleat and Blackpool. Thanks to everybody. Peter Harrington says Blackpool in itself is an amazing place to visit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I haven't been back for a few years. I hear that it's looking somewhat disheveled.
It's a dump now.
I haven't been.
It's looking a bit tired. There's still some nice areas. There's a very good Star Trek exhibition.
Don't worry, Mum. We're not going anymore. It's all fine.
Oh, what? Sorry? What?
I've been to a Star Trek exhibition.
What?
Oh,
We're talking about that.
What are they talking about? Never heard of it.
Never heard of that. No, we'll stick with Doctor Who and with pretty sights. Doctor Who magazine, issue number 580 has just been published. It's in the shops. Some shops. If you speak to your newsagent, you can still get hold of Doctor Who magazine number 580. That's in the shops from today with this beautiful cover from Anthony Lamb. We've talked about Anthony's work before on the show, the pretty pictures and the gallery segment that we talk about. This is spectacular, even by his standards. It's in this issue of the official title. There's a lot of focus on the Dalek movies. They've got some exclusives on the sets and some exclusive pictures, and they've also got their hands on that script for that third Dalek movie we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Ian, Doctor Who's Greatest Adventure. So there's a great big article about that in Doctor Who magazine. I've got it behind me, haven't read it yet, can't wait to get stuck into it. But I thought we'd we've been hard on the magazine at times, haven't we, JT, in the last year or so. But when they do knock it out of the park, you have to give credit where it's due.
Well,
and this cover,
I bought this because of the cover from Anthony. Hi, Anthony. Hope you're well, because it is a stunning cover. A lot of us have already said to him, "Can we have it as a poster?" That would be brilliant. Yeah. And also because it ties in very nicely with the fact that here on Type 40 and the Spacebook, of course, it's Dalek summer for us right now. So it was just, I've got to read this. I'm looking forward to reading the bits about the Dalek films. Not right now. I'll do it.
Perfect. I love how he's got the wispy sort of whirl of the credits, I think, to the first Dalek film. That's going on in the background. And you've also got the silhouette there of St. Paul's Cathedral and the telecom tower that symbolises the second film too. But I think this really highlights too, though, Matt. I mean, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole about the logo because, its time is nearly up. But what I'm saying is that the very last thing you see on this cover is the current Doctor Who logo. But when you've got characters like the Daleks, when you've got icons like the Daleks, everybody knows this is Doctor Who. Everybody knows what this is. You don't really need to see the logo anyway. Is there a bit of a lag in between when you can get magazines in Tasmania?
That is a really good... Oh, no. They don't sell Doctor Who magazine anymore here. In Australia, They haven't done it in about a year. Oh. And it just does... They don't sell. They're always on the shelves.
Gotcha.
Which is probably an indictment of current Doctor Who. But what I'm actually looking at is the Jason Fleming...
Yes.
Dad's Dalek legacy. What's his connection? Do you know, JT?
Yeah, Jason Fleming, his dad. I'm just trying to find it here, but his dad.
Yeah, his dad was the director of both of the Dalek movies.
There we go. Can you see that?
Oh, he's got. There we are. Let's get. There we are. So that's a big feature in there.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah.
Lots of get into that. Get yourselves a copy of this magazine because it does look like it's. They don't visit the movies very often, but obviously now is very much the right time. We've got a special event show that we're bringing up, geared around the Doctor Who movies and Peter Cushing in particular. That's coming in a couple of weeks' time. But I can't wait to get into that article about that script that's just turned up. Also on the cover, you can see there is a little piece that says Sagan Akinola reaching a crescendo. Now, that could sound like a double entendre, but it turns out it isn't at all. It's in connection to the news that will surprise absolutely no one, that Sagan Akinola, who has been the composer on Doctor Who since 2018, so he debuted with The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Sagan, to the surprise of absolutely no one, has announced that the upcoming BBC centenary special of Doctor Who will be the last one that we'll hear some of his music over the top of. So he's been. I think his music has been. I'm going to be kind and say it's been divisive. I do know some people who loved it. I really liked it at first. I thought it was quite distinctive. We had all those years of Murray Gold, but it's sort of. After a time, it just all seemed to drift into one. And I get that he was being
the word you're looking for, rubbish, mate. The word you're looking for was rubbish.
I'm trying to be kind. We've got a quote here from Sagan who says, 3 series, 1 Doctor, 4 companions. The last few years on Doctor Who have been an amazing experience. I'd planned to stay as long as Chris and Jodie were staying. So the next episode would be my last.
Liar.
He says there are too many people to thank, but he goes on to thank loads of people anyway, in the way that people tend to. But does round off with saying to the fans, "Thank you for welcoming me so warmly," which they did. We always do. I've always been grateful for that, and I can't wait to see where the story goes off with a load of old flannel. So Sagan, it's farewell to Sagan. I think when he came to the show, it was off the back of he had that breakthrough. Brit Award, Breakthrough Act or Breakthrough Soundtrack in 2017. He scored what they call a landmark 4-part BBC series called Black and British, A Forgotten History, and also scored a film that went to the Sundance Festival too, Ian, called The Last Tree. So he's a guy who he's not a kid, but he's not, he's still a young man, Ian. What I think I'm trying to say is that although his music has divided people, I think that as time goes on, his career should recover. What do you think?
No, look, he doesn't. Look, The reason why he got the
Rebecca
job,
Dog
I will
too.
say,
Come on.
nobody else will say it. The reason why he got the job was because of the color of his skin. Full stop.
Oh.
Right. And his music was absolute rubbish. It was
Oh.
noise in the background. I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
you know, I'm not going to be nice.
Ian,
I missed
music was
the
rubbish.
fact that it didn't have like characters didn't have certain themes and
Exactly.
That,
I think he did
Gold-
try that. I think he did try that a little. Charlotte, what do you think?
No, I was going to say, I do think he will recover because honestly, I can hardly remember any of his actual music.
No, I can't either.
I
Like-
can, yeah.
It really did fade. Like, I can sort of remember a little tiny bit of Jodie's theme, but
Yeah.
I just think, honestly, he was always going to suffer a little bit because he was coming off Murray Gold.
No,
But-
he didn't get the job for his talent. He didn't. Look. The music was rubbish. I only saw the first season. The music was rubbish in the first season. As Charlotte pointed out, and as everybody's pointing out, you don't even remember any theme at all. That's how bad he was, right? So
I can't remember them either.
I'm sorry, but we have to speak the truth here in Type
Yeah,
40 and say that man was rubbish.
I
His
can't
music was
believe-
absolute nonsense. I'm sorry.
I just think it was just forgettable. Like,
Yeah.
It was rubbish.
when he made
Don't
Well,
sugarcoat
because
it. It was
it's not even, yeah, but it's not.
absolutely
It's
It's
just-
not bad enough to be rubbish. It was just
No.
bland.
The whole show was rubbish.
Like you were saying, like one Doctor, 4 companions. I can't think of a single theme or anything
Exactly.
associated with that character.
Which equals rubbish. Equals rubbish. Come on, do the math.
I
There's
suppose-
no Daleks, and there's no. I mean, obviously, you don't have to use the same Dalek theme, but there was no distinct Dalek music, or do you know what I
No
mean? Or
distinct
Cyberman
anything.
music.
It's one thing, isn't it, to move something on style-wise and to have a fresh new sound. And I think he did manage that at first. But you have to be able to stick the landing and hold that line with a show like Doctor Who. And Barnaby, I know that you like film soundtracks too, don't you? And Doctor Who is a show which has been trying to step up to being sort of to being of that standard where it's a feature film standard on the TV. But
Cinematic.
what do you think about Sagan's music? I mean, are we missing the mark, or do you agree?
I liked him. I think I said this on our review of The Woman That Fell to Earth. I thought he definitely brought up an atmosphere in that first episode, I think. But then steadily, as it went on, and apart from, I do remember the Jodie theme to a degree, but again, it did kind of like the music didn't really, in my opinion, sort of like bring up the character. And yeah, he's coming off Murray Gold. You compare him to Murray Gold, it's going to be.
You compare it to
not much of a
anyone.
competition.
John Williams, Jerry Goldsmith.
Yeah, I was just thinking,
anyone.
wouldn't it be
I'm
great if
sorry.
John Williams scored
But
it.
this guy is
We've
terrible.
got a
He'd
comment
lost his
here,
face.
Matt. We've got a comment here, Matt, from Carl, the Classic 80s fanboy, said that Sagan's music was contemporary and it's niche. That word niche. Niche is probably, it's one thing to challenge a popular audience on a big
It's
show.
also bland.
But yeah, did this drift into that territory where it would just kind of bring the audience down? Because Kip Ellis says exactly what you've said, that bland is the word. Thanks for the comment there, Kip.
It
Yeah, but
felt like he was scoring a documentary rather than
Exactly.
friendship
You don't hire someone. We're talking about Doctor Who here. We're talking about they've been trying for years to try and make Doctor Who, cinematic and with the photography and everything. And then you hire this guy in to sounds like there's noise in the background. That is just absolutely ridiculous. So sorry, he was rubbish.
There was no sense of adventure. That's sort of if I were to try.
There was no sense of anything, mate. None.
I know.
It wouldn't
whatsoever.
lift, would it?
It was just like one flat sound, and like now and again, if you're really, really listening, you might get a tiny bit more. But he just didn't suit the show.
Exactly.
He really did not suit the show at all as a music sort of
Exactly.
producer.
When
And
you're
what
doing
had
the
he done
revised
previous to this?
He
I
did a
know-
documentary.
What did he do previous? Yeah, it was a series called Black and British on the BBC and a movie called The Last Tree, which went to the Sundance Festival. That's the only 2 credits that I've got.
Wow, that's
I've heard
very amateur.
I've heard a great
Sorry.
playlist of his on SoundCloud, music that, to be honest, I quite liked. But it's the kind of music that you have on maybe when you're driving or something.
Well, look at
or if
Quincy
you want to go
Jones.
to sleep, Ian. There's a lot of people, Ian.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I have to say, Ian, there's a lot of people watching in the live chat here who are agreeing with everything that you've said. I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, I'm looking at a man who was still a young man, and I can understand why they would want to get somebody who was on the threshold of their career. And I'll be honest, I don't know a great deal about this kind of sector. I can't name any up-and-coming composers. It's just not my thing. So I don't know whether he was I sincerely don't know whether he was the best man for the job.
He wasn't.
I mean, say.
It could have been worse. It could have been the soundtrack from the Silurians. I mean, yeah.
I mean, look, as I said, I'll give you an example.
That was
right?
even
Look
better.
at Quincy. Look at Quincy Jones, right? Quincy Jones is a black man, right? He came from jazz, whatever, and he did the music for the Italian Job, and you remember that music, right? So look, it's obvious. Nobody wants to say he got hired because of the color of his skin. That's it. He wasn't qualified for the job. What he coughed up was absolute nonsense. It didn't match the show. End of story, right? Nobody wants to say. I will say.
I mean, he wasn't a guy that they just pulled out.
I'm with you.
But Ian,
I just don't want to say
it's not that it was it's not a guy who had never composed anything. They didn't drag him out of a bus queue, did they? But I know what you're saying. Doctor Who at that time was supposed to be stepping up. It did feel like it was a step to the side, and maybe, yeah. With hindsight, it does seem like a step down. I have to agree.
To see what happened behind the scenes. Did he just have like the run of everything, or were people too scared to criticize him?
Yeah, that was probably it. But my guess is that none of them, from Chibnall straight down, knew what the Doctor Who needed. Tone-wise,
it was a huge job, and none of them were up to the task.
Absolutely,
I think that wherever we are with this, because obviously music is subjective and different people like different things. But I think, I do see what you're saying, Ian. I think that there is the probability, it is kind of going towards what you're saying being true. I do wonder when I look at the entire Chibnall production, it does seem to me that man, as a showrunner, Shah, it's as if people went to him. You mentioned the fact that the scripts were first drafts. I think it was last week we talked about that, and I certainly think that Whittaker's costume in particular looks like a sketch of a concept rather than something that was developed. So maybe Sagan wasn't given enough pushback. Maybe nobody ever gave him notes. Say, come back with something stronger. What are your thoughts on Sagan's music? Did it ever charm you?
I mean, I think probably out of this whole panel, I'm the most forgiving of this era. Certainly more than Ian, anyway. But I get it. Yeah, he wasn't right. But I have said before that there are a couple of bits of music that I did like, and I liked the Masters theme, and I liked the Daleks theme. I thought it was really fresh and really new. No one's going to agree, and that's totally fine.
I can't remember any of it. I sincerely can't remember. You could be right.
I do. I do remember that, and I really, really like the Masters theme especially. But I don't think anyone's going to miss him. And yes, you're right. I don't think anyone gave anyone any pushback. I don't think anyone got anything. I don't think it was just Sagan. I don't think it was just, anyone. I think I said, probably a couple of weeks ago, that does no one have advisors? Because no one seemed to be able to say, that's not going to work, is it? And
no, they were just smelling each other's farts. That's all they were doing.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I could have said it better myself, Matt. So
that's not the stuff. It's the showrunner's job. If we're going to have in the United Kingdom, if we're going to adopt this American nonsense of having a showrunner, that's their job.
Yes, but even he
was an imbecile, though, JT.
Well, we know that, don't we? So.
Work, mate.
Yeah,
and
we do.
They didn't. No one had advisors. No one had anything.
No. That's what I'm saying, Geek. The showrunner is the advisor. That person who is showrunning, and I hate that term and I hate that job, and I'd make it redundant in a second. It would be a case of that's their job. They are the advisor to every single department underneath them. So it landed with Chibnall. Chibnall should have been the one to say, that script's not strong enough, or that soundtrack isn't strong enough, or that acting isn't strong enough. And if you guys are saying that the music it wasn't there, he didn't do that particular job well, or he was happy with it. And if he's gone on to a production, he was happy with it.
He did not give a toss, JT. That's the problem. He did not care at all. You can tell in the quality of the episodes, in the writing, in the acting, arguably, that no one cared. And
we have a term here in Australia called being piss weak. Might
adopt that one.
And pretty much that's Chibnall. Like he was just piss weak at his job.
Well, let's focus back on Sagan Akinola, because sincerely,
why?
It does seem like Sagan had a career in front of him before he started on Doctor Who. I gather that he has continued working on other things, and obviously, as we do bid him farewell, as he moves off onto fresh projects, I'm sure you'll join me in wishing him every success in whatever he's doing.
Good luck.
Why do you look you escapes again?
Yeah, you have.
Very good luck.
Fair play. I have heard a rumor tonight that it's been confirmed Murray Gold has returned to the show. I haven't seen that officially announced yet,
God.
so I will proceed with caution. But I have it from reliable.
JT,
I have it from. Obviously, I can't. I've got no press release to read out, so it's for another time. I can't confirm that, but I have it from a reliable source that Murray Gold has returned to the show. But yeah, farewell, Sagan.
I wish him all the best, seriously. But as I said, his music was terrible in the first season.
Maybe he did it just as we do it, Ian, all for the love of Doctor Who. That's why we get together. That's what brought us together here as Type 40 Live, to talk about all this stuff, to compare notes amongst ourselves and with you guys out there. And we're going to keep on doing it and until they stop us. That's the line. That's how it goes. So yeah, get in touch.
Any second now.
The meter's running, everybody. Yes, so get in touch and let us know what you think of Sagan Akinola. Can you remember any of the themes? Because Shash, there's a couple of sat well with her. I did remember the 13th Doctor's theme for a little while, but I seem to have forgotten that now. Let us know in the chat and in the comments section which are your favourites, and we can go back to listen to them again and maybe jog a few memories. I don't know, because it's been. I know we've got to give credit where it's due, though, haven't we? So yeah, let us know what you think, and while you're at it, don't forget to check out all our other podcasts at our home feed, type40.podbean.com. Maybe this is your first show here with us live. Maybe you can't believe what you're hearing. You're going to need to hear it all over again just to make sure that your ears weren't deceiving you. You can do so at type40.podbean.com or on all major podcatchers. I'm talking about Audible, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those places. We're absolutely everywhere. You don't only get the audio versions of these shows, but you get the Type 40 podcast too. We're well over 100 episodes of that at the moment. The current show is myself and Ian and the fantastic Wendy. We got together to review that very first episode of New Doctor Who, Rose. Had a real deep dive on that, compared memories. Yeah, it was a good time. And of course, we're talking about last week's Type 40 Live show there, Type 40 Live on Song, where we had a blast talking about Doctor Who novelty records. I think this lot have forgiven me. It's been
no, I don't think Ian has. Have you, Ian?
Ian's traumatized, bless him.
I am.
That was so funny, though. It was one of the best fun I've had in this show.
We have had so much feedback about that show. It's ridiculous. So I'm glad that people enjoyed it as much as we did. Seeing the agony on Ian David Diaz's face was absolutely worth it. You can check that out at type40.podbean.com. And considering we use so many audio clips, we only got the one community strike as well. We only got the one copyright claim.
Did you? Wow.
And it wasn't from the record label that I thought either. It was from the owners of Who is Doctor Who by John Pertwee. Everybody else, it was fine. I don't know. So yeah, check that out. Yes.
Really quickly, there's a comment from Jack Thursby that's really made me love it in a nice way. And he said something like, "I feel really bad for Shah having to listen to all this scathing criticism of." When she's a 13 fan or something like that. And I don't know where you've been, Jack, but I don't think that's true. So it's fine. Don't feel too bad for me. It's all good.
No, yes.
We're not allowed to say what's on our mind, then what's the whole point of Type 40? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
this is fans talking.
There's nothing people should be allowed to say their opinion. Honestly,
The thing is, Shah is an adult, and we're all adults here, and we can all talk.
I'm not.
Absolutely.
Matt, you tried it for a while, didn't you? But you didn't like it, so he's given up as a bad job. If you're overgrown kids, just like we are, you're at home at Type 40 and Type 40 Live. Oh, what else have we got to get into? Sensible topics. No, who am I kidding? This is definitely not a sensible topic, but it is coming up now. So what's everybody talking about this week? Well, it's being
weather.
Is it something sensible? Well, we were for a while, weren't we, as we all baked in the heat wave. My God. It certainly wasn't the weather for wearing anything other than, I'd say, sandals or Crocs on your feet. But apparently, apparently the new Doctor is going to be sporting a very particular kind of footwear. If you believe anything you're told, really. This broke a couple of days ago. This news story. It says Ncuti Gatwa to wear wellies in his Doctor Who debut. So,
I reckon. Isn't that Matt Pot on the right there?
Oh, no.
Sarah.
I'm
on the Australian, honestly, you.
No.
I love you, Matt.
I love you too, sorry.
So we've got a quote.
That's Matt in the future.
So we've got a quote here, Charlotte. This is from the Standard Insider. That all these places that break these stories. This one broke in the Sun. So they always say an insider, and okay, if you can't name your sources, we don't name ours either. But when you look at stories as thin as this, anyway, it says every Doctor gets their own look every time they regenerate, and they always seem to have a very British edge, thanks to the choices. Ncuti, who's partial to an eccentric outfit himself. Now we can't deny that's true, can we, JT? We've focused on some of his sartorial choices lately, but it says
11 embolism.
Yeah, well, he said he's recently said that he's having some input into the Doctor's clothes, Matt. So it's not a surprise that something as unconventional as wellies are in the mix. It goes on to say the sex education star will debut the eye-catching footwear in his first scenes. They're backtracking here. So is it his costume or is it just first scenes? Bear in mind the bloke hasn't even started filming yet. But it says they're expected to become a permanent fixture during his time as the Doctor. Sarah, what do you think? Is this a load of old bollocks like it sounds? Do you believe it? What do you think of the wellies rumour?
There's a possibility that he might wear them, but it can't be a long-standing choice because you just can't run in wellies. It's not. But we had this before. Can you remember the fanfare about Jodie because she was going to wear a bum bag and it turned up in like one episode?
Oh yeah,
no, that was a face.
Yeah, depends what kind of wellies, I suppose.
What kind of wellies?
Yeah, what kind of wellies? Yeah.
Maybe. How about you, JT? Are you going to put this down to tabloid tittle tattle and an extended silly season, or could there be some truth in this?
Of course, it's silly season. It's utter nonsense, isn't it? Sarah says you cannot run in Wellingtons, but also, as Sarah says, it depends what you include as Wellingtons, because Wellingtons today are. I mean, if you look at the Jules range of Wellingtons, they are more like smart boots, and they're very, very small. But when you can't really run in that unless you're using the Doc Martin style.
Maybe Ncuti's Doctor likes to jump in puddles.
Maybe.
Well, I would imagine that every single Doctor likes to jump in puddles because the Doctor is an eccentric in certain senses. So I can see Tom Baker doing that. I can see Sylvester McCoy doing that. So I don't think that's again. But I don't know. I think it's just nonsense. And again, it's just we have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Or maybe his first adventure is at Glastonbury, and this is the clue.
I love it. I love it.
Primord
Infectant reminds us that Tom Baker wore wellies in the Androids of Tara. I think numerous Doctors have worn wellies now and again from memory.
Well, it depends where they're shooting. I mean, if you look at Power of Kroll.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's true.
Waders, were they waders that he got on then?
Exactly. It depends on the planet he visits rather, and it depends on the script. But to give him something like that, his feet will be awfully sore, full of blisters, because look at the
smell as well.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of the smell too.
Sloshing with sweat.
It'd be cool if he got like adult. But can you remember the one wellies used to wear you when you were a kid and they looked like frogs and they had eyes?
No,
vaguely.
No.
I tell you what I do. I remember these.
No.
I remember these.
Oh my!
I knew there was some kind of connection with Dan. There's always some kind of connection with Dan.
Could be.
That's a great logo. Oh,
maybe or maybe not.
I hate that logo.
I love it.
It's one of the worst logos in the show's history. It's vile.
I thought it was brilliant.
The newer one.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with.
And I thought
I don't like any of the reboot, the 4 reboot history Doctor Who logos. I think they've all been a waste of time and space.
Which one is your favourite,
Oh,
JT?
yes, true.
The diamond
Classic.
logo, mostly coloured by the
Classic.
Perfume McGann logo.
Classic.
I'd
He loves the
say
classic.
the vote on the Wellies is probably in the negative, Shooty. So don't get me wrong.
Listen to anything, Shooty, but not those.
Yeah, I think it could
I
be.
think he'll turn up in something he can run in. You know, if we're getting an action adventure serial, which is in doubt at the moment, isn't it? We just don't know what we're going to get. But you know,
Our leather boots, I could see him in.
Oh yes, I could definitely see him in those.
Well, you know, from
well, I can see him in colours. You know, doing a Colin Baker in that sense. You know, some sort of like browns, tans, lighter blues. You know, that sort of stuff. You can get away with it. Honestly, I've said it before. That man can wear anything.
Fair play.
High
And
heels.
you're our
Not good
fashion
in heels though.
correspondent. So who are we to argue? Are there any votes in favour of the Wellies in the live chat? Absolutely none. Peter Harrington is a fan of the fluffy granny slippers.
Granny slippers, yeah.
The
She
ones
wear
with
them.
zips up the front there, Ian. That could be a good one.
Ugg boots. Ugg boots.
Oh,
Ugg boots.
Oh God, no.
Could
That's
be.
true. Plastic 80s fanboy. They used to brand anything. they try now and it doesn't sell. Yeah.
Well, from we've got people voting here for Compo for the Doctor. Sadly, the Bill Owen is no longer with us, but I think in another life he may have made a good Doctor Who. Yes, so from Wellington boots to somebody else who's been putting their foot in it, I'm talking about Russell T Davies. Well over a week ago, you're quite right, Shaw. Russell T Davies, the once and future showrunner of Doctor Who, he gave a proud, to be fair, impassioned speech when accepting this award
That bit
at
of
the
tinfoil
Sky
there, look at it.
Arts South Bank Awards for 2022 for his admittedly superb drama, It's a Sin. Now, Shooty Gatwal was there. He was on hand. He was there to present the award. So understandably, we in the fandom, well, we were paying attention, but so were the press. It's been wildly reported, based largely on the content of said speech, more so than anything about It's a Sin itself, and certainly about Doctor Who. However, it has stayed in the news cycle now for well over a week. We don't on Type 40 or Type 40 Live, we don't dwell on that content, on something so highly politicized. But the fact is that wherever you are, whichever side of any of the aisles involved with politics or Doctor Who or anything in between, how can I put this? They were strong statements, divisive statements, and debatable assertions. Davies obviously was there collecting a prestigious award, and you could say that he's got a right to say exactly what he wants. You know, this guy, he's one of the most powerful and rightly celebrated writers in the country. But this still being talked about after a week, and the story sort of growing, it can't help but make you wonder. The man is now in the hot seat. His name is so closely associated with Doctor Who. And whilst there are certainly people in the room at the Sky Arts Awards were very receptive to what he was saying, but I do wonder what the viewing public are going to think. JT, what do you think about this? Should the future showrunner, the current showrunner of what is a family adventure show, be on any stage making these big statements on subjects that are so debatable? Should he be doing that at a time where he's so associated with Doctor Who? Does it harm the show?
Bless him. Bless you. Bless you, Russell. Or as I might call you from now on, Ranty T. Davis. I mean, there's been two rants recently, and you know, it makes it very difficult, even for myself at this moment, to actually look forward to the show and want to support the show, especially with what he said recently. Look, we're all for freedom of speech. We do it all the time on this show. We do live in a democracy. Russell's very aware of the power he has in the industry. He's very aware of, you know, the fact that his little echo chamber is going to clap and whoop him and kiss his arse around him, and he is mixing with a certain type of person. But I think it's very interesting that, you know, he hasn't followed things through. He hasn't thought things through, and he's made terrible assertions in his last speech, which I personally can't hold with. I think, you know, okay, you can say it, but you have to accept any backlash that comes from you, that comes to you. I mean, to say that anybody that votes Conservative in our country is a murderer, he hasn't thought that one through, really. Because, you know, for those of us, and I include myself in this, those of us that voted for Tony Blair and the Labour government, Tony Blair took us to war. And thousands of people died in that war. And it's a war that personally I think was unnecessary. I was there on the protest marches. So if he's saying that one particular party is you know, responsible, if you vote for them, you're responsible for murders, then hang on a minute, that makes me feel awful, because I was responsible for several others back in the past when I voted for the Labour government. So, but I do think it must be a terrible time for Russell and his little echo chamber, because Britain is not doing what they're telling them to do. And it's simple as that. You know, everything he wants, everything he believes in, everything he stands for is being challenged and questioned right now. And they must find it very, very hard work. You know, from the result of Brexit onwards to everything that's happening today, the British public are turning around saying, hang on a minute.
JT, I went over to Russell's Instagram because he's very active on Instagram, and it's a lovely feed. You know, I've always liked Russell T Davies. I make no apologies for that. I love his work, and I think he seems like a lovely guy. You know, like a lot of us, I've met him very briefly, and Sarah spent some time with him, haven't you, Sarah? And you know, I know that you sort of knew him, JT. You've known him.
I've met him a couple of times. Yeah, I don't know him. I can't say I know him, but I have met him a couple of times, and I've worked on one of his shows as an extra.
There are different sides to all of us, and Russell T Davies is going to be no different. I do wonder, because I looked on his Instagram feed and I noticed it was full of people, I'm afraid to say, famous people, big names from the fandom, big names from television, both in front of and behind the camera, blowing smoke up his arse after this. And they're entitled to do so. So no wonder if he's been showered with sort of those kind of virtual bouquets, then maybe he's only going to carry on making statements like this. But I do wonder, we've had two of them so far at various environments, both at award shows, different awards. It can't help but worry me. How do you feel about this, Sarah?
I'm disappointed. Russell is, somebody I admire very much. I admire his work. I admire what he's done. He's a lovely person.
Well, he used to be.
He's free to say what he wants, but it's sad that it's come down to this. If you do this, then you're a bad person. If you're not with us, you get like when did everything just get so divisive, like you're saying?
Us and them, and you're part of the problem. He's challenging people in the room and all that kind of thing. And
it's just horrible for
But Sarah, I feel that with speaking to the people in the room in the way that he did, and to be fair, they are in many respects, they're his peers. There are very few of them in the room that will be more powerful than Russell T Davies. Sure, so I have to, like you say, JT. I don't approve of cancel culture. I approve of free speech. So I am not going to say that Russell can't say any of this.
He's entitled to say what he wants, but as long as he doesn't bring it into the show.
Well, this is the situation, Sarah, isn't it? I mean, Dan, you're talking there about the whole cancel culture. Isn't it strange? And I'm with Johnny Rotten on this. Big up, Johnny, my man. How are you?
Yeah, I love Johnny.
I'm with Johnny on this because what he came about and said he can't believe he's living through the days where the left has suddenly become the new fascists. Mm-hmm. And they are the ones cancelling people, ruining people's careers, calling people who don't share the same opinion than bigots and ists and foes.
It's censorship,
And unfortunately, Russell is doing that. And after the last one that he's done, I mean, I've got friends. I'm a floating voter, by the way, just to let everybody know. I'll go for the policies I agree with on the day. But I've got friends that vote Tory, Labour, SNP, Liberal, all these other things. They vote all these things, I wouldn't dream of judging them because of that, because that's your democratic right to vote for who you believe is going to lead our country correctly. And nobody, Russell, has the right to slag that off, in the sense that you have been doing, and with the aggression that he has been doing. I find that very disrespectful. And I'm worried, Sarah, now. I mean, I've been very optimistic about the future. Mega Geeky will tell you. I've been very optimistic about what's coming. I've been very supportive of it. I've tried to look at the bright side of everything. And then he goes and knows this big fat gob. And I suddenly think, oh.
But yeah, I'm feeling the same. When I saw that, my heart just sank.
Yeah.
And yes, he's a talented writer, but when you think back to how things were when he was writing, 2003, 2004, it was a very different climate. Now it's encouraged. They've all been heightened by it. They've all been egged on. The BBC, and entertainment as a whole, supports all that, and I just think it's going to embolden him. And what I'm worried about is that he won't be able to help himself putting in the politics.
Well, he's already started in a sense, and I'm not being controversial here, but he has started this. And look, I don't think there's anything wrong with writing a part and then casting a transgender person in any show. I don't believe that's wrong. No, right? I don't believe that's wrong at all. I think that's right because people need to pay their mortgages and pay their bills. But I think he's done it now. The way I'm feeling right now, I think he's done it to piss people off, and I think that could be something, Sarah, that's coming through in his writing because he's obviously a 60-year-old very angry man, because Britain is not doing what he wants it to do necessarily. And I think it's bound to come out in the rating, and I'm a bit worried.
Matt and Shah, come to think of it, both of you make content. I mean, is Russell T Davies, to your ears, is he coming across as being angry, as JT says? And in the people, you make content, is this what you're picking up on as well through people who watch your videos, people that interact with you on social media? Have you noticed this conversation?
I've got a theory that he's a cat person. He obviously doesn't like.
That's something everyone.
Who could use that analogy like that? I was very, very upset, and I was like, "There's nothing wrong with a dog, right? You don't need to wound it, all right? They're lovely things." That was the main thing. I cannot pretend to know your politics or anything like that.
I don't know the politics.
But what I'm saying, Matt, it's not necessarily the content of the speech, though, is it? It's the fact that he's chosen now to say things which he may think that just because he's saying it in a room of people, as JT says, that are his echo chamber, it doesn't mean that everybody feels that way.
That's right. And the thing is, like I was going to say, if they were to do that here in Australia, there would be an outcry. I mean,
really?
Seriously? Yes.
Creative speaking politically at something like an awards ceremony for a broad audience.
People have made. There was a recent thing where someone here, a celebrity, during their impassioned, they won an award, and during their speech, they said something that has actually changed legal proceedings. And they ended up having to leave the country. Yes.
Wow.
And what they said actually during a court case, they actually had to cancel the court case because
that's pretty big.
They had to put it on hiatus because what she said was so damning to the person who hadn't even been trialed yet, that she has ended up having to leave the country on holidays. And yeah, it's literally that sort of thing would not be tolerated here. And when I heard what he said, besides the whole dog thing, I was just like, are you serious, man? Do you really think that you are so brilliant and so great that you think you can say anything that you damn well please and not have any knock-on effect? Seriously, this whole thing is absolutely like I was just like.
I wonder, Matt, speaking as the guy just in front of the telly, in front of the screen, and supporting Doctor Who going forward as JT is. I'm very, very hopeful of the future, and being a huge Russell T Davies fan, and maybe an apologist for the things he said earlier in the year, other things that he said. I like the fact that this man is passionate because it shows in his work, and I wouldn't want his work to be any other way. We've seen what happens, haven't we, Shah, when we get a bland writer and a bland voice writing for the show, running this show. So we want somebody with fire in their blood, don't we? But how is the general public taking this? What do you think?
I've had a lot of messages on Twitter, a lot of DMs on this one. And yes, you can have fire in your veins, Dan, and you can be passionate, but my God, that doesn't mean you go the complete other way. I think if you've got a platform like that, and yes, I agree with free speech and all this sort of stuff, but when it becomes dangerous, that's a problem. and you don't use your platform for something like that. I'm not going to say about whether I agree with it or not, because I don't feel like that's just not my thing.
That's a different point anyway, isn't it? Yeah. Whether you agree with it or not is a different point.
Exactly. But what you were saying, and I was actually shocked because I watched it at the time, and the comments are making really good points, and I will be getting to that. And I was really shocked, but I can't remember who said it, whether it was you, JT. I'm sorry. About them being his peers and they'll blow smoke up him or whatever. No, I actually saw them look really uncomfortable and really shocked that he'd said that as well. So, and then in the end, everyone did that whole nervous thing, and then decided to clap and applaud.
Maybe I should go back and watch it all again, because to be fair, I have only seen the clips of that are on the internet. I haven't seen the whole show. That's quite interesting. We've got a comment here from Ian Scales in the chat, Barnaby, who says, I felt Russell T Davies' original series of Doctor Who was about bringing people together, but his statements seem hateful, and divisive. Something feels different. Is that what you think too? Or?
I haven't seen anything about this at all. Maybe subconsciously, because I've just been keeping away from any kind of a political thing. I'm a very private political person. I don't say
quite right
what
too.
I believe.
Yeah,
I think this is why I don't go on Twitter. I don't say anything political on Twitter.
Quite right.
Not only as an actor, where this sort of thing can be divisive and can get you not jobs, not get you jobs. But also, I think politics in itself should be something sort of quite private. But I also think anyone should be able to say whatever they want, and there's no but at the end of this sort of thing. I'm very much pro. He's got something to say, he can say it, and you know what? I support his right to do it. That's all.
I mean, it's different. I mean, we all support his right to say it.
Right time. Sorry, JT.
We all support his right to say it, Barnaby, because we are living in. We're still in a democracy. Just how long that's going to last is another matter. I mean, we'll know in the next 5 to 10 years whether Britain is still a democracy, because we're heading towards the fact it's not going to be. So, we all support his right to say it, but to say it with such aggression and meaning and passion and sweepstaking that way. Anybody that votes Tory is a murderer.
Yeah,
that word "murderers." Of all the things to say, that really does hit you right between the eyes.
Yeah, because it was like when the Brexit vote happened, and you remember the day after the Brexit result, and the country was in a state of shock. Even those that had voted for Brexit were in shock because they never thought they were going to get it. But then suddenly the BBC led this whole attack on, if you voted Brexit, you're a this and this and this. And I was thinking, hang on a minute, some of my friends who are educated, hardworking, British, proud, never missed a day in their life work, not like some generations today who won't even bother getting off their arses to get a job. They voted for that. They're not stupid. You don't call my mates that. That's one of the reasons I cancelled my TV license. But I've just had it again from a writer who's slightly, I mean, Sarah, the 2003, 2004, 2005 Russell that we all knew then is not the same one we've got now. This is a very angry man. And of course, he's surrounding himself with people who are slightly younger, who are extremely angry about certain societal issues they've created themselves. Russell, you should know better. You should be informing young people from your experience, because when we were kids, Barnaby, you would have fitted in beautifully, because you didn't know who people voted for. You certainly didn't know who the entertainers voted for, because it was private and
people's politics and their faith and their sex lives were private.
Yeah,
Charlotte, I wonder when
those two things. So can I just add, because I did want to just go a little bit further.
Of course.
In terms of the politics in Doctor Who, I'm very well aware that politics has been a thing before, but it's always been.
No, it hasn't.
Oh no! But in the show that I've watched, it has.
Oh well, maybe from 2005, but the original proper Doctor Who, it was extremely rare.
No, I know what you're alluding to. Go on, carry on, Shaw.
Yeah.
Go on.
And that's been a thing, and there was he's been subtle, but not in the same way. But it's always been made light of. It's never been anything very serious. And I think that something that Chibnall did really wrong was he put issues in there that weren't even issues, and then decided that he was going to attack the audience with it. And then with this, like you said, Sarah, and that's what worries me as well, is that I don't really like politics in Doctor Who, and I feel like it's going to get on that, like it was in 2005 and his whole era, and go mad.
That's the issue, isn't it? Yeah.
You can't. There's no
That's the
escape.
problem I've
Because
got.
it's,
And I don't think it's wrong to have politics in anything. I need to make that clear because you do need to have issues brought up. But
not in certain shows. You don't need it in children's shows, which they do all the time on the BBC
not in
now.
a show that's meant to be
I'm just
event
saying in
escapism.
general. Yeah,
Sure.
I'm just saying in general.
Doctor Who is a science fiction fantasy
Sure.
show. It's not a political
it is,
drama.
I'm just saying in some shows.
Oh, but it's had politics in it though, JT. You know,
Okay.
it's had politics in it.
Right, well,
You know,
here's
it's like,
my,
yeah, how subtle was that? You know.
here's what I think generally. I do wonder. I fear what the general public is thinking. Not many kids are going to have watched the South Bank Awards. That's unarguable. How many of the general public now, and how many of the general public who did see it and who've even read the headlines, because this has made its way to the press, how many of them will remember it by the time the Doctor Who episodes, which generally people are still very excited about when they make it to the screen.
Yeah.
But obviously, this is the second time he's done this. How many more times will he do this before those people who maybe don't remember at the moment will remember? And it could start to become a problem and a barrier between the show, because the simple fact is, although this is a kid show, it's a family show. More importantly, more cleanly, it's a family show. And although kids do find it on their own, it's often the case. You know, it's happened when the show came back, when it restarted in 2005, is that it is encouraged by the parents. Children were encouraged to sit down and watch this show, to get into this world and this universe, because the parents trusted the brand and the writer. If that doesn't happen this time, Doctor Who could have a serious problem with this rebirth with Ncuti Gatwa. We've been polling our companions out there in social media. We've got some polls here. So this one is from Twitter. We simply asked Russell T Davies, speaking like this, does it have an effect on the show? A negative effect, a positive effect, no effect at all? Or the people who didn't see it, who had no idea there was even a speech. And it came out on Twitter. It was 66% of people said it had a negative effect, with 14% saying a positive and 12% saying no effect at all. That's quite a clear victory there for the negative effects. We also asked people on Facebook, 50%, so it's not quite so much, said it had a negative effect. And 30%, a much bigger chunk, said it actually had a positive effect. Mm-hmm. And we've got 10% of people said that there was no effect there. But still, that's a very clear win for the negative effects. And finally, here on the Spacebook channel, we've got a 64%. That's a big chunk, said it had a negative effect, with 12% saying a positive effect. Slightly more than that said it had no effect at all. You know, that's 16%. So it seems very clear that most people, because particularly the Twitter one, which was wide open, not just, with the tags that you can use over there, not just people who are aware of us and who already follow us can see that, and a big response there. And that was still very much, clearly, people felt that it was going to have a negative effect on the show.
Yeah, but so it's going to, because the two main issues I think this has got is that we're coming off an era which was incredibly divisive, which a lot of fans felt like they got told the show's not for you anymore. Yes. That was the feeling a lot of us got. So to hear Russell in that speech basically make incredibly blanket statements that were incredibly reducive to just, if you vote a certain way, if you have money, if you have these very nebulous things that anybody can have, you are evil, you are bad, you are this, you are that. And the fans are going to see that and go, okay, I'm already being attacked, and I'm not even watched any of your show yet, Russell. This new era. And I think he really needs to, because I don't know if you know about it, but there was also, if I've got it right, there was an interaction he had on Instagram also recently.
Well, there was, but in fairness, I'm not going to go into that because we cannot prove that was actually Russell. We had some screenshots for the people who aren't so active on social media. There were some screenshots, screen grabs that were in the community being traded around, and people have based articles and videos off those on YouTube and various other places, which were very inflammatory, but it did look that we've got every reason to believe that those weren't genuine, so I'm not going to go down that road. Last weekend, the Doctor Who Utopia 2022 event took place in Boston Resort in Bedfordshire. An army of Doctor Who fans like us and like you, and specially invited members of the cast and crews of Doctor Who from various different eras. Well, they were there too. And so was this Sontaran, everybody. This Sontaran.
yeah.
So what I'd like to know, after, and we're going to tell you after the break, is who is that under the Sontaran helmet there? Who do you think that is? Let us know. Let us know in the live chat here on Facebook or YouTube who you think that may be, and we'll get back to you with the answer after the Type 40 live ad break. See you in a couple of minutes.
I bet he drinks Carling Black Label.
If the pint you like gives you that bit more, you can bet it's Carling Black Label.
Time is running out.
Destiny of the Doctors is in your hands.
In a game like nothing on Earth, with old enemies and new riddles.
You will be exterminated.
Doctor Who, Destiny of the Doctors. Out now on PC CD-ROM. It was only a question of time.
Excuse me, what can you tell me about Nurofen Express?
It provides fast relief from those annoying headaches.
What do you know about Nurofen Express?
It works faster and lasts longer than standard paracetamol tablets. On headaches.
It targets pain fast!
So it's no wonder Nurofen is the nation's favorite branded painkiller.
Have you ever wondered just who is responsible for generating electricity for England and Wales? Where does the power that's working your TV right now actually come from? Well, last year, if you added together all the electricity from everyone else's power stations, it would come to this much, about 56% of the total we need. So where, you may wonder, did all the rest come from? Let me enlighten you. It came from the power stations of National Power, the biggest single generator of electricity in Britain.
Yes, before the break, we asked you. Everybody all right? Yes, before.
Love that stunt man.
He was very live in his youth, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was indeed. He was indeed. Are we all watered, everybody? All fed and watered and relieved?
Yes.
We're back with more Type 40 Live, and we asked you before the break, who was this mystery Sontaran that was here? This was at the Utopia event over the weekend in Bedfordshire, and it was full of companions and friends and cast and crew of Doctor Who all getting together post lockdown. I think I still find it a bit of a novelty. And let's have a look and see in the chat, see who people think it was. We've got was it Capaldi? I think that's talking about the advert. Yes, it was Peter Capaldi. No, we've got no takers.
He was very young.
We've got Janet Fielding, says TARDIS Spider. Nicola Bryant or Janet Fielding from Tony L on the Sontaran. Terry on Tuesday. Hi, Terry, says, I know who that is.
Hi, Terry.
James A. Patrick says it's Caitlyn Jenner. I'm never quite sure which one that is. It's off one of those reality shows, isn't it? That looks wrong, says Sadako. Well, it doesn't look like a proper Sontaran. Like, I think to the trained eye, you can tell that's not a legitimate.
It's very
Sontaran.
good, though. It's wonderful. It's a fan made costume. It's wonderful. Primer Infectant has got it right.
Oh, has he? Okay. Well, yes, Primordial Infectant, you were right. It was the one, the only. Katie Manning there was the mystery Sontaran. Having a blast.
Katie.
Having a blast and accessorizing too, Matt, there with the pink scarf. I don't think we've ever seen Sontarans do that. But and the shoe.
Not
first time
yet.
for
Anyway, we've still got a centenary special to go. So,
Who knows? Who knows what's to come? Yeah, they had break some belters in there. But Peter Capaldi did a lot of beer adverts, didn't he? Has anybody noticed that?
He did. He did. I like. As I said, I like the stuntman for the woman. She jumps on, suddenly lost a lot of weight, and then whoosh. That was great.
Yes, so well done, Primord Infector, for that one. Lots of fun. It's great to see people out at conventions again, and hopefully we'll get to some soon ourselves. We'll have to see. Okay, back to comebacks. I think this time. This one has been in the press this week. There've been rumours for a couple of months about this now, but the Mirror. Again, we have to say this. The Mirror has a good track record where Doctor Who stories are concerned, hasn't it, JT? You know, time after time after time in the new series. They haven't got them all right, but it's a good track record, isn't it?
Well, it goes right back to John Nathan Turner in the 80s. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that far with the Mirror? That far is it? Well, yes, so we've been talking about this a little, and I think certain corners of fandom have too, but the Mirror have gone with a story this week. Now, when we first started talking about it, I think, was when Danny Hargreaves came back to Doctor Who. So he's working with Bad Wolf at the moment. His special effects unit, I think you could call them, Real FX, since he worked on Doctor Who, I think from 2006 up until the Chibnall era. No, I think he might have worked on the first Chibnall stuff too, come to think of it. But he was there for a very long time. Yeah, and they basically got rid of him like they got rid of everybody else. So, but he's gone on to work on the latest Expendables film, lots of movies and American studio shows and things like that. But yeah, he was delighted to be back on Doctor Who. And if you to read this tweet, which is fantastic news to have the team back together, he was using the hashtag Save Doctor Who Confidential, and it does seem that has actually happened after a fashion. So yeah, the Daily Mirror going with this story. They've got it as an exclusive, but we've been hearing this for a while. So the Doctor Who is getting a spin-off series in conjunction with its 60th anniversary. So a new behind-the-scenes Doctor Who spin-off show will accompany the sci-fi series from 2023. Returning showrunner Russell T Davies has commissioned the series. And it's believed to be called Doctor Who Unleashed, and it'll begin to coincide with that 60th anniversary material. So when David Tennant appears. Now, apparently this Doctor Who Unleashed is going to be fronted by this guy, a BBC radio presenter and gaming reporter called Stephen Powell. Shah, you're a gaming correspondent. Have you heard of Stephen Powell?
I would hardly call myself that. No, I haven't. But yeah, I'm more than happy to have that back. I always used to watch it as a kid, so that'd be really nice nostalgia.
Oh, okay. Well, there was a guy on location in Camden Town who I think a lot of people thought it was Louis Theroux. I certainly thought it was Louis Theroux. But people were telling me, though, Barnaby, it's not Louis Theroux. It's this guy, it's Stephen Powell, because they're filming material. And you could tell that whoever it was, there was a second unit there. They were filming material for something behind the scenes. But it turns out it could be this Stephen Powell, and Doctor Who Confidential, by another name, may indeed be back. Shah, you said you grew up watching this. What do you think about this kind of TV, Ian, that takes you behind the camera? Do you remember Doctor Who Confidential?
I love it. I love Doctor Who. Well, I love watching it straight after the episode. You turned to, was it BBC Three, wherever it was? I can't remember.
Yeah.
And you'd watch the Confidential, and it was really great. It was really informative, and it was quite fun when they were speaking to David Tennant, whoever it was. Do you know what I mean? And it was just something that was. It's kind of like a digestive biscuit with your tea. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is. Digestive biscuit. Yeah, that's what it was. I loved it. I thought it was great, personally.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it says Doctor Who Confidential was a documentary television program that took a look behind the scenes at the making of every Doctor Who episode, launching with the big comeback in 2005 and Rose, and it continued right the way through to the episode The Wedding of River Song, where it was cancelled, wasn't it,
Yeah.
Sarah? I was quite gutted at the time. I was certainly very, very surprised because it was. I mean, I think that when they doubled the length from 30 minutes to sort of 45, 50, was stretching it a bit. But it was, just like Ian said, it was sort of part of our routine, wasn't it?
Yeah, I loved it because I love to see how it came back, and especially that first series because there's so little of Christopher Eccleston talking about it because of obvious things. And moments like that were precious, where you got him talking about it, you know, what he was feeling when he was doing this scene and everything, and how they put things, you know, just things that we take for granted. That what a script read is like. You know, when they all sit around. I remember one for The Girl in the Fireplace where they showed you them doing like the table read.
Yeah.
And stuff that you know, you don't how to set up the effects shot, how to you know, the light, and just every aspect of I couldn't get enough of it. So
we did get to see not just the actors wrapped up in their sort of big Parker jackets and drinking pot noodles. We also got to see some of the writers, the directors, the special effects people. It really did open up the entire process of putting our favourite show together, didn't it, Charlotte?
Yeah, and for me, it actually taught me quite a bit about the history because I didn't know a lot of it at that point. So when they'd bring back like an alien from the classic era, or when they were doing a storyline that very much harkened back, they would talk about that. You'd get the writers talking about watching it, and like what the like. I can remember this. I've just said I can remember. Now I'm blanking on the name. The Silurians. Sorry. There we go. Now I obviously hadn't watched classic, so it was few confidential when they talked about the Silurians and what their history was and how it was such a big thing. And I loved also. It was always unconfidential. You'd get the person sat on the makeup chair, and you'd see the layers, and you'd see all the tiny little bits to make the mask. Like I remember doing that with the Silurian, seeing the woman sat there for God knows how many hours, getting all the layers on her. So I think that's what I really loved about it. I learned more than just the technical aspects, actually, about Doctor Who.
I think a lot of people did feel that way, and I have heard talk, Ian. I mean, you know, you're a director, screenwriter, all these things. You know, you've been on several sets making not just scripted stuff, but documentaries too. I do hear a lot of people say that they wanted to get into filmmaking, into TV. And my own son, for that matter, because of shows like Doctor Who Confidential, those making of shows. You know, it's kind of like special features that you used to get on DVDs, isn't it?
It is, and as I think Charlotte's right. You know. Even I forgot about a couple of episodes, and obviously when they were talking about certain things, they would show you a clip from the old thing and stuff like that, and it just reminds you of classic Who and how wonderful that was. Anyway, I shall stop there. But yeah, no, it's wonderful.
Thursby says, just imagine if we'd have had Doctor Who Confidential back in the Pertwee,
that would be amazing,
or the Baker
that would be
eras.
amazing.
I loved the when the Master made his return, and they did a Confidential on the Master and his backstory, and up to that point, there hadn't been any connection towards the classic series.
Yeah,
and so putting those, it finally put those two together. That this was the same universe. You know?
Yeah.
And me anyway, but I really miss it. Like it was mainly because it got rid of the Peter Capaldi, and I knew he was such a big fan, and I knew that he would have so many insights, and I feel that we missed out on that.
Yes,
he was doing his thing. We just never really got any behind the scenes with him, and
it was a pity. It disappeared for a couple of years. It did come back in another form as Doctor Who Extra, but it's a similar kind of show, but it was again much shorter, and it was only available, I think, on the Red Button and on the iPlayer. So there was a lot less effort, I felt, put into it. It wasn't quite so creative. You could say that material sort of survived really and evolved into the shorter YouTube content. Obviously, there was that thing that Crystal D hosted, the fan show, for a little while, where they used to get guests in. But that was an extension of the same idea. So they did experimentation with this kind of thing. It is good, isn't it, Barnaby? But there was something cozy about Doctor Who Confidential. You can see the reception in the live chat here. Raymond Williams says he used to come back from the pub, watch Doctor Who, and then Confidential on BBC Three. How about you? How about you?
Yeah, same with me. Apart from the pub, I was too young at that same time. Of course I wasn't. But it was, it was lovely. It was such a lovely after thing to watch. You watch it, then just sit down with it, and it was sort of cozy. And it also it was my first introduction to the film set as well, and seeing how the actors kind of worked with the people on set. And I remember seeing one Confidential. I think it was The End of Time, where Tennant was looking over the monitor. On his final line, "I don't want to go," and he was going. And he had he had his own input in the process, because there were 3 different shots of him just saying in a different way, and he's just picking it out. So it also introduced to me for the first time that the actor does have a process in the set.
He had to say
how it
didn't
is done.
Yeah,
So it was wonderful to experience that and see that, and it taught me so much. So being on set,
can you remember the slate board they drawn
Yes.
regenerate?
Yes.
And to see his face when he saw that, like when you were talking to, you could see that really was like, I could tell he was touched that they'd done that on the slate for this take, and it was lovely.
He was so touched. He seemed so happy.
It really annoyed me that they did the Confidentials on DVD. They had the cut downs.
Yeah,
and I just really wanted the whole full thing, just for completionist sake, because we probably never see a lot of that stuff anymore.
It is strange that they're not available commercially. I mean, one can only hope that when BBC Studios do get around to the complete Blu-ray collection and the new series, which it is certainly their desire to cover the new series as well, that maybe they will appear in the Blu-ray sets. We've got a quote here from Russell T Davies. And no, we haven't. Sorry, we've got a quote here from an insider that mentions Russell T Davies. My God. And it says, Russell is aware that Doctor Who fans can never get enough content when it comes to this show and how it was made. With David and Catherine making a sensational return, he thought the time was right to bring back a behind-the-scenes show to document those comebacks and how this was all made. So
they've given him a lot of money, haven't they? To do this, haven't they?
It looks like it, and this does sound feasible. Absolutely, the appetite is there. I think that particularly relaunching it with the return of these actors too, because it will be. Charlotte, you just reminded us there of the regeneration thing and how emotional that was. I think maybe coming back to the show for DT will also be quite emotional, and it'll be irresistible watching that again. I think, you've really. The more I think about it, the more I really want to see this show. And I think as long as it stays cozy, I think it struck such a great balance between coziness and something bigger. That's why I do feel that sometimes that less is more with these things, and that half an hour is sort of an optimum. But if they keep it sort of big but small, I think I'll be quite happy. There were several hosts or narrators of Confidential over the years. Simon Pegg was on series 1, but then Anthony Stewart Head is the one I think I remember the most. I think he was on it for a couple of years, wasn't he, JT?
I think he was, yeah. I mean, it's no surprise at all that this or a version of this show is coming back, because it's the 60th anniversary. Everything should be chronicled and put down for historical reasons. It's the longest running science fiction show in the world. So to not have a behind the scenes making of mini series or however they're going to do it would be ridiculous, because then you can also put it on 20 forthcoming Blu-ray. And of course, with whatever they're going to do, it's the start of different formats. I mean, bring back Totally Doctor Who for the kids, bring back a version of the fan show, because really the only people that are going to watch this sort of making of is the fan base. But I think it needs to be done properly. When Doctor Who Confidential started, I found it very interesting because it was dealing with facts, it was dealing with actual stuff. But as it went through, it got a bit more whimsical. And I think for anybody, it's a great show to inspire brand new generations to look at the arts and to look at roles and careers in the arts, and to say, right, I would like to try that, or I want to know about that. Because in my day, we had books. We had The Making of Doctor Who, first published by Piccolo and then republished by Target. And we had everything from a book. Years later, we had Doctor Who, The Making of a Television Series. And you had to be inspired by that. And then you had to go off and look at the various courses and apprenticeships that were around to tie in with it, to see if it fit you. But now you're getting it all on television, and you can find it on a TV station, you can find it on a Blu-ray or a download, or wherever they're going to go with this. I think it's essential that this stuff needs to happen now, but it has to be done properly. It needs to be factual, it needs to be educational, and leave the whimsical element of confidential and all that campness. Put that in a different show, please. Have the proper making of documentaries, and then have all the other little shows like Who Remembers Totally Doctor Who for the Children. Totally Doctor Who was a fun show for children, and they loved it.
I'd love to see that again. Jack Thursby here says, makes me wonder, will Doctor Who be big enough again to have that dedicated making of show?
Yes.
Jack, it needs to be. Sure, I think that regardless of that, Doctor Who needs to make big swings like this. It needs to behave like it's the biggest show on TV again, doesn't it? And if it makes all these signs, makes all these noises, then people will turn up, won't they?
Of course, yeah. I mean,
won't they?
One of them, I'd love to see it again. It honestly takes me back to 10-year-old me. Just thinking.
I think it's a confident recommission of this. I think yes, the programme has slipped in popularity. Far, Chris, you get the picture. Far fewer people watch it than watched it when David Tennant was on it originally. But to come back confidently and consign all that to history and to make a big creative swing like this, it's very, very confident to place this back where people can find it again and say, no, this is the biggest show on TV and you love it, and we're going to remind you why you love Doctor Who with stuff like this.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so, Dan, because what you're saying there is the optimism side of stuff again. It does depend on the writing and the story. I can guarantee you now, if we all tune in next November or whenever they're going to show these episodes with David Tennant and Catherine Tate, and the public tune in as well, which they will, if we don't like it, they will switch off again. And things like Confidential, the public may watch. The children will, if we get the children coming back to the show and being reinformed in the show, they will watch it as well, and that's great. That's why it needs to be factual. I can't see Joe Blogg's public wanting to do it and wanting to watch it. They can't. But if you remember as well, when the show came back in 2005, in the lead up to that Saturday night at 7:00 when the reboot Who came back on March the 26th, there was every night on the BBC One, there was a little program that led up to the Doctor Who's return and the new Doctor. Now they built up in audience figures as in the old style as the week went up, because people started to go, oh, Doctor Who's coming back. And I'm just wondering if there's going to be something like that coming for next year, to say it's the diamond anniversary and here's the Doctor coming back. Because you've got a whole year next year where you can play with various things if they want to.
God, I hope they're thinking big, Ian. Sorry, carry on, mate.
Yeah, sorry. I find it really odd what Matt said, that they put the cut down version of the Confidential on the Blu-rays and the DVDs.
Yes.
It's usually the other way around, isn't it? It's usually the other way around.
An extended version. Yeah. It could be down to disc space, or it could be down to clearing some rights. I don't know.
There were rights issues with them. There were rights issues with everything like that. There was a lot of
here in Australia. They showed the episode and then they'd show the cut down straight after to make the hour. So that may be why they had that. The cut downs were so short.
Right.
Okay, so Doctor Who Unleashed. By the
why are they changing? Why just keep this confidential? I don't understand. It's Unleashed.
Doctor Who Revelation.
Sounds rubbish.
Reloaded.
Yeah.
Oh,
Doctor Who Reloaded.
Hey. Plans change. This is quite a while in the future. Maybe it's a working title. We haven't had confirmation from the BBC about this, but the Mirror are usually on the money, and we have heard whispers about this. We had heard Stephen Powell's name. We had heard Doctor Who Unleashed.
How lovely has it been? Everybody who's mentioned Doctor Who Confidential has had a good memory, and everyone's had a smile on the face. All of us.
Yeah.
And it's the same in the live chat.
I don't like smiling. But, it's really weird, actually. I hope that's not the title, because it reminds me of a documentary that came out in the 90s called K9 Unleashed, which Bob and Paul released. And it was basically a behind the scenes and people's recollections of K9, some of which were not very nice and some of which were wonderful. And that when I heard they were calling it Unleashed, I thought, No.
That's what I think. I totally agree, JT. It should not be called that at all.
No,
But
it's rubbish.
Jamie Knight says, how about this one, Ian? Doctor Who Confidential 2, The Revenge.
Jamie. Whose revenge will that be?
I thought he was going to say Doctor Who Confidential 2, Electric Boogaloo for a minute.
I don't know. What's wrong with a series for next year called Doctor Who Diamond?
Diamond?
Yeah.
Sold.
Oh, quick, I'll copyright that. Hang on.
Before we leave this subject, I just want to point out that ever since that broke in the Mirror, we've had another article from the Radio Times. The Radio Times aren't what they used to be, are they? Let's face it, that brand has slid downhill so fast, it's ridiculous. They get very few exclusives now. They're reporting on this, but they have embellished the story. They've reported on the Mirror's report, but they've added that this show is going to BBC Three. And obviously BBC Three was its original home from 2005.
They are that desperate, folks.
Yeah.
So that was its original home from 2005 to 2012-ish. Obviously, BBC Three is now back. It was away for 4 or 5 years as a channel. It's a channel again. It's a channel again now. I find it very.
Though, isn't it?
Oh, is it? See, I find it very difficult to believe, JT, that a show like Doctor Who Confidential / Unleashed, that this kind of behind-the-scenes making-of show, it was a strange fit for BBC Three back then, but they made it work. I think it just wouldn't fit at all with what I know of what BBC Three is now, with its drag queen shows and goofy comedies and imports.
They'll just put it on iPlayer, I think.
Well, this is it. I think it's quite likely. I think that the Radio Times are reaching here. I can't see this going to BBC Three, and I can't see Russell insisting that it does.
Do you know what? I can. Sorry, guys. I can see him doing that because we know that Russell is a big BBC guy. He's huge into it. He's proved that several times over. He wants us all to get back on a license. He's telling us all to get back to a license, not until you actually produce something which is political free. Thanks, Russell. But the thing is as well with BBC Three, because it is failing, I can actually see this going to BBC Three, where he's saying, I've got to help BBC Three because he's that. I mean, he's decided he's commissioning this show allegedly. And everybody else has gone, oh, yes, we'll broadcast that. Oh, yes, we'll have that. Thank you very much. That's not the way television works. You know, they come to you and say, produce an extra show and we'll think about broadcasting it. But he can click his fingers, allegedly, and get all this stuff done. So I can see it being on BBC Three. But more importantly, I think it needs to be, yes, it needs to be on the iPlayer, Sarah. Yes, I think it needs to go on a brand new look Doctor Who YouTube channel where people can just find anything they want whenever they want. And I think it needs to go on any of the Blu-rays to help sell the thing.
We'll have to wait and see, I suppose. The idea that we're going to have 2 Doctor Who shows back on the screen as going things that we can invest in again, as the brand can hopefully be revived, that's certainly irresistible too. I'm looking forward to seeing what may or may not come in the future. We're going to wave bye-bye to Queen Charlotte now. It's your time to flit her off, isn't it? Thank you so much for your company this evening. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
See you soon, everybody.
No, bye-bye. Yeah, Doctor Who Confidential / Unleashed. Maybe not. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Let us know what you think, of course. As always, let us know what you think in the comments section. Is this a sensible choice? Was it obvious? Are you going to welcome the show back, or do you think it's a relic of the past and they should be looking at more creative ideas of just sticking with the YouTube channel, of bringing back maybe the fan show or just little snippets of behind-the-scenes stuff to cherry-pick moments? What do you think? Are they getting it all right? Are they getting it all wrong? Are you excited for the potential return of that kind of format show? Does it bring you the warm and the tinglies? We want to know in the comment section. And while you're there, please like the video, subscribe to the channel for when we come back with more podcasts and live streams in a couple of weeks' time. And hit the little cloister bell to get all the notifications. Let's go and look at some. Yes, let's go and look at some pretty pictures, everybody. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you to Terry Cooper asking about the Type 40 live mugs again in the chat. We have news. I can't talk about it yet, but help is at hand, and we may well be in time for the colder weather to start it in a couple of months' time. We're listening. We know everybody's interested in the Type 40 live mugs that we will drink out of here on the show. There could well be some news on that by the time we come back stay tuned, as JNT used to say. And why? Why? For the love of Type 40 Live and for the love of Doctor Who. That's why we do it all. That's why we get together for these conversations and these discussions, and to speculate and to feast our eyes too on the prettiest pictures in the whole of Whodom. Shaw, you looking forward to this picture? Like a pretty picture or two?
Oh, you know I like the pretty pictures.
Of course she does. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? This one, this is just lovely. This is from Blue Fruity.
Look at that.
Oh,
and it's the Doctor and Romana there, Ian. I know you love Romana, don't you? And they are there confronted by tribesmen or tribespeople, I should say. Oh dear, on some sort of swampy planet, courtesy of the fan artist Blue Fruity. What do you reckon?
I love it.
Excellent. I love it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I want a Doctor Who animated series now.
Based on
That would
this,
be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's been on the cards for about 15 years. No, honestly, I can tell you.
We might just get it.
I can tell you, it's been mooted so many times, and there's certain reasons why it's been stopped, but it's still on the drawing board. Everybody,
we can only hope. I just
no pun intended there. You didn't get the joke on that one at all.
They've caught Blue Fruity has caught Lalla Ward particularly well, I think.
Well, the nose isn't up in the air as much.
Oh dear.
Oh god. Yeah. So let's see what people think in the live chat, because we look at all this fan art, and then we put it out there for a bit of a review here. We've got Terry on Tuesday says that Blue Fruity does all kinds of fan art. As always, we're going to put all the links to all of the fan artists in the show notes and the description here of this edition of Type 40 Live, so you can go and see for yourselves. Love that, says Daniel Leach. Carol Jude says Romana rocks.
Yeah.
2 thumbs up here. Oh, a thumb up, sorry, from Tony L. I'd imagine he's got the other one up at home, as he says that's a cute picture. And yeah, lots of animated. Yeah, Jamie Knight says animate all the Big Finish stuff.
Yes.
Didn't they do an animation with John Pertwee? Sort of anime.
That was a fan one. That was a fan one. Yeah.
Right.
That was amazing, though. That was really great.
It was really good. Yeah.
And just to point out, when you were talking about Bog Fanish there, of course, they have done animations. You can buy them on DVD.
Yes, what was it called? Something Time.
Real time.
Awful.
Real time. Yes. Oh, brilliant! I loved Real Time.
I think they could probably do a little better now. But I love that style.
Well, I mean, they've done all most of the animated missing episodes, haven't they? That's another.
I think JT that we have to have a big discussion about this sometime, because animated Doctor Who, ideally for the anniversary, it can't be too far away. It seems to me like such ripe fruit that needs picking. People are obviously really, really hungry for it.
Just anything but telesnaps, please.
It's funny you should say that, mate. It's funny you should say that. I've got a pick here. So this is from a telesnap. This is a shot from Power of the Daleks, a really early close-up there of Patrick Troughton in his first adventure as Doctor Who, as the second Doctor there, and a really nice one. You get to see all the creases in his face. There's such an expressionate face, and I like it when you see these. What was that? Yeah, Ben in the background looks like he's touching cloth, but we're focusing on Patrick Troughton, and yes, so colorization is a thing in fandom. Colorization seems to get better and better by the month. There's some amazing artists out there. And this one is the work of Not the Teen 10 over on Twitter. So there is our before we see the Doctor in black and white. They're the second Doctor in black and white with Ben peering over his shoulder. And Not the 10 Teen on Twitter has been to work and colorized it. And we've got this beautiful.
Wow. That's great.
Beautiful job there. Giving Patrick Troughton. You can see his stubble, can't you, Shaw?
Yeah, honestly, I think that is brilliant, and I love how clever people are with this sort of thing. It just really brings it to life again, doesn't it?
He looks. It's weird. It's like an uncanny valley sort of thing. He looks different somehow. He just looks younger. I don't know why.
Yeah, he does look younger. Yeah.
It'll be the wig as well.
Yeah. He was around 46 when he took the role of the Doctor. Was it, JT?
So was that a wig? Was it?
Troughton had a couple of wigs, especially in the beginning. Apparently, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It's hard as well, yeah.
I suppose it makes sense. They're probably waiting for his real hair to grow through. But I love the fact they're giving him the blue shirt that he wears in the Three Doctors too, Sarah.
Yeah, it just looks wonderful. It really works so well.
Jack Thursby's in with a very good. People like this, yeah. It's so clever. Every time I think I've seen the best one of these, I see another one the following week.
There is so much, isn't it? I mean, here on this on this very platform, which is the mighty YouTube, of course, I see so much now that gets recommended to me, with just fans colouring various segments of the old '60s episodes, you know, the old scene and stuff, and I can't get over how it's increasingly good every time I see another new one, because the technology is changing so much. And you know, there was one the other day where I just got, you know, the chills in the back of my neck because it was a Hartnell one, and it was just beautiful, and so much time that everybody's taking. And I'll say it again, they should be employed by the industry.
I think some of them use AIs. I don't know how, but I'm reliably informed that they do, Ian.
Yeah, they do. There is AIs that can actually do that. You just it does it really fast as well. So
really, it's amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing.
That's the thing I was saying to Dan. I mean, I think in another broadcast we were saying that if they took Doctor Who the first season and they colorized it and it was just as good as this, I would buy them. Definitely.
Yeah, we've had this discussion on one of the previous series of this, and I think we would all buy them. I think as long as we've got the black and white version and then an alternative. I mean, it's extra money for BBC Studios, but I think we would all buy it, just even out of curiosity, wouldn't we? But you know, I think the day's coming in.
I find the coloured versions like very ethereal. Like, you know, there's just something, a little bit of fuzz there that just makes it look a little bit like heavenly.
Yeah, I do love the black and white stuff too, though. There's just something about watching the black and white ones that just I really love.
But as JT says, as long as we've got two versions, you can't
really go wrong. Back to very vivid colour now for the everybody's favourite Tin Dog here in a fight, the fight of his life. I don't know where the Doctor is, or Romana, or anybody else, but I'm not sure K9's going to need them, even facing many Daleks here from Doctor Who.
I just love the fact that the nose laser never ever doesn't point in the right direction. You know, in the right direction.
And the artist, in this case, it's Mark D. Lewis. Yes, he's preserved all the charm there of K9 from the classic show. Facing, we've got a special weapons Dalek, we've got a movie Dalek, and I don't know what the red Dalek is from. JT, we've got a new series Dalek there too. What do you think of this? You're a K9 expert.
I love K9, as Spacebookers will know. I think that's a lovely piece of work, and that's great, Mark. Thanks for that. It's colourful, it's vibrant, and I mean, the only time you ever saw K9 with the Daleks, of course, was in Doctor Who Weekly.
Dave Gibbons in this strip. Have you seen that wraparound cover that Dave Gibbons did? I think it was for issue 2 of the Marvel US title. It's beautiful. Obviously, he used to draw K9 really a lot smaller, didn't he? Where the Doctor could fit him under his arm.
He had artistic license, depending on the script. Yeah. Put in his pockets, you know.
Yeah.
But
so good.
I wonder why he removed police.
I think it's the light. I was wondering. It's the light.
It's beautiful, though, isn't it? It's nice.
And the light.
Canvas work.
Week, but this. I would buy that as a print or as a poster. They're so talented.
It's one of those fan things as well. K9 with the Daleks has always been something that has been a fan sort of dream. It wouldn't necessarily happen, but you know, no. In Destiny of the Daleks, K9 got laryngitis.
If you're watching, Mark, or if you're listening, there is a lot of love here for your latest canvas here in the live chat on YouTube and Facebook. Peter Harrington said, yes, I would buy that.
I would too, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
The painting actually looks like a set, doesn't it? He's painted it like it's a BBC set.
An annual
It's a proper piece of illustration, isn't it? Which I appreciate.
Sorry, Charlotte.
Sorry, darling.
I was thinking out loud. It's okay. I was wondering if he was doing commissions, because I would absolutely have that on my wall. 100%.
I have to wait and see. Yeah, get in touch with Mark D. Lewis. He's certainly on Instagram. I think he's on Twitter too. And as always, we'll make sure that the links are in the show notes and the description of the video. Another artist that we've had our eye on for a little while is, I have to watch how I pronounce this, Diocinia on Twitter. And this beautiful illustration of the Seventh Doctor with, I don't know what he's spinning. It looks like a ball with a doll on it. And it's just very children's picture book-ish and slightly inspired by anime, I think, Barnaby. What do you reckon?
I really like it. It's kind of, it works very well with the sort of Doctor. It reminds me a little bit of when he's entertaining the gods of Ragnarok a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like weird, just so much huge stuff, like the power of these beings, and he's just around all these planets, spinning a planet because he's just having fun.
Because why not, right?
Exactly. Why not?
Well, that was the Seventh Doctor as well, wasn't it, Barnaby? He was spinning many plates at the same time.
Yes, he was.
In his storyline, he had lots of different things going on, and he was controlling everything, wasn't he? So it might have looked like a clown, but he was quite Machiavellian.
Oh, he was probably the most Machiavellian, the full-on chess master.
I like the choices that Diocinia has made in this when stylizing the Seventh Doctor. So elements of the costume, it's the same costume, but the lapels, the collars, are popped, for example, and the V of the sweater is much larger and tucked in, and the scarf is red rather than paisley, and it's sort of flowing. And those trousers are almost, dare I say, Whittaker-esque, but at least they reach down to his feet. And he does seem like a little wizard there, Shah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's very without sounding patronising, it's very cute, isn't it? I think that's lovely.
Nice.
I always like watercolors as well. Watercolors is a medium, lovely medium to work with. And I've always enjoyed seeing watercolors. There's so much you can do, and as that illustration proves it.
Seems like it's dying a little bit though, watercolor art, which would be a shame.
It is. You're absolutely right. I was only reading about that just the other week there, and I just thought, no, bring it back. Start teaching it again at schools. Come on.
Yeah, it's time for a revival, definitely.
Mostly it's digital art, isn't it? That it's far more easy.
I thought I ever got a good grade in art, but yeah, I loved it, and I love watercolor. I think it's wonderful.
Well, going from watercolor, we are going to look at a piece of digital art now. A couple of weeks ago, I think, was it last week or the week before, we looked at the work of Variant Graphic. And Variant Graphic had put the Seventh Doctor dangling. I think I can.
Oh, that's not doing this again.
That's what we all know.
Dangling. There's nothing rude. There's nothing rude this time.
Sure. Terry's not here to make it rude, right?
So it was a great piece of digital artwork that we had a lot of fun with here on the show. Variant Graphic. We've got a brand new one here, which I just thought this was fantastic, and more than a little Star Wars about this one. I think, Ian. So we've got this is Peter Capaldi. You could say the Obi-Wan Kenobi of Doctor Who, and here he is fleeing the Daleks. But how? How could he possibly get away from the Dalek spacecrafts? Why, in the Whomobile, of course.
That's great.
I think Clara may be driving because the look on the Doctor's face is one of surprise, and she's sort of smirking as if she knows what she's doing, sort of.
She has an expression saying, "Really, the Whomobile, really."
Come on, you can't diss the Whomobile.
You can't diss it.
You used to hate it, but I love it. I love it now. I'm with you now, Barnaby. Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Yeah, I just thought it was a step too far when I was a kid.
I missed it at the peak because I thought she was driving because Capaldi was holding a lightsaber, but he's not. He's shooting.
It always seemed, I don't know, the Whomobile always seemed useless to me, like Superman having a spaceship to fly around.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Yeah, but it was Pertwee's time, and I mean that's the thing. You see, they were trying to put a lot of action into Doctor Who because of the Avengers and the other shows that were around. They did it badly, but come on, the Whomobile, rig it out.
You know what?
It belonged to John Pertwee, didn't it?
It was. John commissioned it. John commissioned it and bought it, so it was his show. So of course he was going to have his car in his show, and to call it the Whomobile was just. I mean, it's essentially. It illustrates how British Doctor Who is, because remember at the time the kids loved it, and it was,
I loved it. I wanted one.
Made it roadworthy, everything.
And years later, years later, in the early 90s, Dapple actually made one because I saw it. and they had a prototype of it, and it was very fun. It was going to have some sort of sound effects in it as well, and it was going with their little 4-inch range that were around at the time. And I saw this when they were based in Winsford in Cheshire, and I saw the prototype and got very excited about this, and it never happened. But it was there. It was going to come. Yeah.
But you know what? They could do it now, can't they? They can put a
it would sell. It would sell.
Of course it would sell, and you would have better sound effects and lighting on it as well. I can also confirm that the steering wheel was on the right of the car because it's a British car, and it was allowed on our roads.
Oh, really? Now,
did it have a tax disc?
Yeah,
it did have a tax disc as well.
Yeah. I knew that it was some
British
sort of
as well.
obsession of John Pertwee's. I didn't realise that he owned it. I knew that he knew the guy who built it, but I thought that he'd maybe got the BBC to buy it and that they owned it. I didn't realise it was his actual car that he owned. That's fascinating. I think if you were to looking at the 60th anniversary, and if Peter Capaldi does come back, and they start dropping in elements, I'd love to. I can't imagine any other Doctor really getting away with driving the Whomobile than Peter Capaldi show. I don't know what it is. I think this is just perfect.
It's the hair. It's got the right hair for it. You see,
but it's also Capaldi is a massive Pertwee fan, as we all know, and you know the pictures of him and John are beautiful, and he's a massive fan. But I wonder, I don't actually know where it is. But there was a lovely story that Liz Sladen used to tell all the time about the day that Pertwee came to pick her up for a shoot from her house in the Whomobile, and they are driving through the streets of London to get to work.
Yeah.
In the Whomobile, and she hasn't been seen on telly or anything like that, and she was like this.
he was one cool bastard, wasn't he, John Pertwee?
The thing is, Pertwee was very close to John. Pertwee and Peter. They're very close, look-wise and dress-wise, weren't they? Do you know what I mean? So it was very, very similar, weren't they?
The bigger Capaldi's hair got, the better Doctor he became.
Yes. Yeah.
I think he reminds me a little bit of James May from Top Gear. That's why I sit behind
Oh
that.
God, no.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yes. So as always with our artists, thank you if you're watching. I hope you enjoyed us enjoying your work, and please reach out to us if you're a fan artist or you think there's an artist that isn't on our radar that we should pay some attention to. Let us know. Get in touch through our social medias. Instagram and Twitter at Type 40 Doctor Who, or you can come and join us in the Type 40 Facebook group over there too. That's full of regeneration upon regenerations worth of Doctor Who fans talking about classic Doctor Who, new Doctor Who, and speculating about all new Doctor Who. A little like we've all been doing on this edition of Type 40 Live. Can't wait to see what's coming next. So come and join us there, and that's where you'll get first word on the next editions of this show and the podcast. Come and chat to us all in real time there. That wraps it up for this time. What a show. So much to sort of process, I think. Not just us, but everybody in the chat on YouTube and Facebook, and people who are coming along afterwards too. So let us know what you think of it all. Think about the Russell T Davies debacle, about not necessarily the content of the speech, but about that whole question about these industry figures, particularly when they're associated with a family show. Where's that line between what they should say and what they shouldn't say? Or is there a line at all? Is it a totally partisan thing? Is it the simple fact that if you agree with what he says, then you're fine with it, and if you don't, then you're not? I don't think it's that simple. But let us know what you think in the comments section. Are you excited for Doctor Who Unleashed? If that's what it does end up being called when it does appear, let us know by all means. It does sound like something that might star Bruce Willis, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And your memories too of summers
Doctor
past.
Who Die Hard.
How summer sizzler. What were your favourite ice lollies in times past? What did those Dalek rays? What did they taste like? And do you remember the Sky Rays too? And any other memories of summer holidays in Blackpool or anywhere else? We're not choosy. We're just nosy. Get in touch, Instagram and Twitter at Type 40 Doctor Who with all your holiday memories, all those cozies. Thank you, everybody, for another roaring Type 40 Live. It's very early for Matt Pott. He's going to go off and start his day. And he's going to go back to bed. Go back to bed. That's it. I've got to listen to all that. That's me spent. I'm done. We could have wiped him out. Let's have one last look in the live chat and see what people have got to say. Carol Jude says, a bit of advice. Drink your water, everybody. Make sure you're well lubricated, Shah. Is that advice that you're going to take? You know what I mean. Gordon Bennett.
What's this? Carry on.
Always wins.
Oh my God!
Carry on.
Dalek Death Race. Laurie
Terry's
says
in the
Terry
chat.
on Tuesday.
Of course he is.
It's Terry's fault.
Talking about the Daleks there, Dan, let's just remind everybody that it is Dalek summer here on Type 40. Don't forget, check out our special celebratory shows. There's one already out there for Doctor Who and the Daleks, which was shown a couple of weeks ago back at the cinema for the first time since its original releases, which was fabulous. If you went, let's hear from you. We've got the Dalek Invasion of Earth 2150 review coming soon, and then more as we build up to the release of that fabulous book. So get subscribing and get looking at those shows and celebrate with us.
If you enjoyed the first one, like the Primordial Infectant did, as JT says, it is on the way. We won't keep you waiting too much longer for that. There's a couple of episodes to come in the meantime, but there's lots more to come. We're going to do a big event show here too, to talk about to talk with you guys really, because you've all come back from the cinema. I think they're still in cinemas, there's still showings. So take your snaps. People have sent them in already.
The top 10.
Yeah, no,
really?
They are in the top 10.
They'll
hit the top 10. And so congratulations to Studio Canal, for having the balls to do it.
They had one in Tasmania as well.
Oh, really?
One in Tasmania. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Everywhere. I mean, everybody, we love
incredible. And we're going to see, we have to see if we can get, because if I remember rightly, Barnaby has a great story to tell about the movies too. So, we're going to make sure we get everybody's word on all of that. Daniel Leach says, thanks for that. I love seeing the fan art. We love having you here to look at it with us too, Daniel. What Jamie Knight says, I'm genuinely shocked this channel doesn't have 20,000 plus subscribers, which of course is the right answer. Everybody, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. It does help more than you think. Even you people, you people out there who haven't got a YouTube login, I get it. But if there's any show that's worth getting yourself a YouTube and a Google account for, it has to be Type 40 Live, doesn't it? So what are you waiting for? Pull the trigger. What's the worst thing that can happen? You don't have to turn the cloister bell on. We'll be here where you can find us here.
You're going to get a balance on, everybody. Come on, please.
Don't subscribe while I order.
Well said. Well said. John Cartwright says, damn, missed it. I was out. Hellos and Story. A big Story fan there from John.
Right, John.
Thanks, Jamie.
Fluffy John.
I think that does wrap it up for this time. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with more Type 40 Live. In the meantime, look out for some special shows, more Daleks, just as JT was teasing there. Don't miss that. We know you like the first one. We've got some exclusive reviews too of other things I can't talk about yet. We've got another one of our frequently asked questions. We know that people love those, with another member of the Doctor Who community, and lots more besides. Don't miss it. Only one way you can make sure that you don't. It's either go over to type40.podbean.com or to subscribe and hit the bell for all the notifications. Thank you, Ian, as always, the Mega Geek. No, he might have a cornetto next time. We'll send him some. We'll send him some to JT and to Zippy for their company there.
Thank you, Daniel. It's been a pleasure for you to have me.
Sure, I understand that you're on the road between now and when we see you next. Who knows where you'll materialise?
Who knows? But yeah, I'll miss it very much while I'm away.
Matt, can't thank you enough for. Have you stayed up or have you got up early? I don't know.
I've gotten up. I've only had 2 hours sleep.
Dedication.
But it's dedication.
But it's worth it. It's worth it always.
Well, we love you, Matt. We love you, pal.
I love you all too.
Getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to do this, I don't know what that's about.
Apart from JT.
Don't be a stranger, mate. It's been delightful to have you back on the show as well. I hope to get you back on again soon. And Starry-Eyed Girl, Sarah Graham, as always. How did this all get so big, Sarah? I don't know. But I know you've got lots of exciting things going on in the family. Can't wait to hear some more about that when we come back. Don't forget, more podcasts and live streams. You have to keep hammering it home. Thank you to everybody who's watched and contributed in the live chat. It's been a really lively one. We couldn't. Yes, I have.
Yeah, you did.
You've not.
It was over. It was. Someone was speaking over or something. But
thank you, Barnaby.
Thank
you again. Well, if the
so
Queen can
for me
have
to be here, obviously.
If the Queen can have a birthday and an official birthday, Barnaby Jago can have 2 thank yous and goodbyes. Thank you for your company, Barnaby.
At least 2 thank yous.
Yeah. Plus one for the giraffe. The giraffe is iconic as Barnaby is.
It is. It is. Definitely.
Don't worry.
Good morning and welcome to Type 40 Breakfast.
Don't worry, everybody. We'll be back before you know it. We always have the time. If you have the space here at Type 40 Live, we'll speak to you all again soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.